Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you may be. Welcome to Tournament Tuesday on the Out of the Park Development stream. I'm Dave, and we're here to do some silver defense today. I will get to those in just a minute. We're just going to go ahead and, as per tradition states, we've only got 20 packs today. I don't have very many perfect points right now. So 20 packs to open today, but we'll take a look at the decimals first. They're 20-9. Having a pretty solid start to the season. Stuck in gold 2 straight weeks, losing 3 games to 2 in the division series. Still stuck here in gold. Let's see if they won today. It's been a little bit rough going for the decimals, trying to get back up into diamond level. Let's see, a good solid win yesterday. 7-6 in 10 innings. Let's see, we got Barry Larkin, Al Kaline. We got a new player that we're going to talk about in just a minute. But let's open packs first and see if we get any luck today. How was you guys' weekend? How was your weekend? Bottom of the 6th, good to see you. Thanks for stopping by, CJH. Thanks for stopping by. First pack will be a solid 70-point pack with nothing doing here. Tanner Rainey's on the Cubs in the OHBL. Not pitching well. Nor is anybody else. We get a Tom Acker. Duplicate silver historical card. More snow for you guys, huh? No more snow for me. Jeff Mathis. There you go. Filling out an iron team here. Uh-oh. We got a historical gold. It is a duplicate, sadly. 1,600 point card though. Low gold Philadelphia collection. We got a Cuckoo Christensen here. Martin Perez, who I'm hoping will have a solid season for the Red Sox this year. The older we get, the quicker the weekends go by. They do. Another gold, Gary Sanchez this time. He'll get quick sold for packs later in the week probably. Other than that, not a great pack. Acker is playable. I don't know. I don't think he's in the defense. I'm not sure if we're going to see him today. Martin Perez pitching for the Sox today. I won't be able to watch that one, sadly. Double Jose Bracheno right in a row. I love it when that happens. That usually means something perfect's coming down the road, right? If you can get 2 of the same guy in a row, it's got to be something good coming. Doubt it. Johan Ramirez. Alex Wood got a huge contract in my online league. Did not work out for them. I was in on the bidding for that because I have too much money that I can't spend as the Cubs, but that did not work out for the Dodgers. Michael Perez, Yardley. Other than that, Lewis Thorpe, iron player. Still pretty solid in iron from what I can tell. We got a Jody Davis, Edgar Renteria. Not an expensive Edgar Renteria. Halfway through the packs. I'm going to talk today about my plans going forward here in just a minute. Once we get through these packs, we're going to talk about some successes we had this week for the decimals. It was a solid week. We'll take a Diamond DJ LeMahieu and quick sell it for 4 more packs or cards. We'll see. I had to sell something. Faulty. Let's see. I don't think he's with the Braves anymore. I don't know who he signed with, but I'm pretty sure he's not with the Braves anymore. I could be way off base on that. I thought I read a story the other day. I've been trying to do more research on baseball. I got away from it a little bit the last few years, to be honest, but I'm really, really excited about this season. Even though there's a really good chance my Red Sox are going to be not very good. So we got 6 packs left. And Gregor Blanco, that's a new bronze card for me. Pivetta, also pitching for the Sox this year. Hoping for good things out of him. He was in that Brandon Workman trade last season. We got double historical silver here. Jim Bouton and Aaron Harang. Harang is not helpful in any way, shape, or form. Jake Bowers, we talked about him a couple weeks ago when we did iron. Interesting. He's an interesting iron option in left field. Yeah, okay is going to be not enough in the American League East this year. DJ Stewart. The Orioles are probably going to continue to stink, but the Yankees, Blue Jays, and Rays look really good. I am a Mariners fan, actually. I like the Mariners a lot. I always want them to be in the playoffs. And I actually live near their Double A team, so I'm looking into jobs. Maybe to get into baseball. We'll see. I gotta find an email address first. It's hard to do. Last pack. Man, these packs were... We got a double Brandon Dixon pack at the end. Should we quick sell LeMahieu and get 4 more packs? I'm feeling lucky after that. Let's quick sell those live cards we got. Let's see. Lives. Tag, quick sell. What do we get? 6 more packs? We'll take 6 more packs. Nice, even 26 for the day. Speaking of Mariners, yeah, I'm really excited. You know, I always feel like they're so close to being good. And then it just doesn't work out. Nothing good here. Interesting history, though, for the Mariners. I was not lucky. There's another Martin Perez. Good tidings for today. 3 more left. We'll finish these up quick. Burning through the packs. Diamond. Are you serious? 2 Diamond LeMahieu's today. Gross. American League batting champ. And we'll close it out with 6 live cards, including Brett Phillips, one-time almost hero for the Tampa Bay Rays. Adam Hazley. Nothing in these packs. They're Double A. The Arkansas Travelers. Bottom of the 6th. That's who they are. Will be interesting to see whether we've ruined the possibility of extending. Oh, I think that the general, or who was he? The president of baseball ops or whoever. I think him being gone will help. What a toxic culture that had to be working under that guy. The Decimals got a new toy, guys. We got a new toy this week. Check this one out. Batting 9th for the Decimals, playing first base. Iron Warriors tournament prize. Cupid Childs. That's right. After, how many weeks you got left? After 48 weeks of trying, the Decimals finally broke through and won the Iron Warriors tournament this weekend and grabbed themselves a Cupid Childs card. He's been good so far. 300 batting average, 457 on base percentage out of our number 9 spot. We're training him up at first base. Try to get some defense over at first base. And he pushed, who did he push out of the lineup? Sisler, I think, is who he pushed out of the lineup. No idea if it's going to stick. I like his discipline, avoid K's combination, plus a little bit of speed, plus good defense. So we'll see. Pretty happy about that card. Worst case, he gets sold. It was a pretty big tourney win. I was pretty excited about it, and it was totally unexpected. The other big tournament success we almost had this week, I won't go too in depth on it, but we came in 3rd place in the Silver Snapshots. So, we did the Silver Snapshots tournament stats a couple weeks ago, and I hadn't even made it out of the elimination or the round robin rounds up to that point. So I threw some more players on my team, added some from the auction house, which is something I haven't done too much in the past. Don't break on us. And suddenly we end up in the semifinals. So we took 4 wins in the round robin rounds, and then made it all the way through to the semifinals, where we lost 6-3, sadly, as our bullpen gave up 3 runs in the bottom of the 8th. The Decimals team, I'm happy with it, though. We got a really crummy, what was it, Robert Person. Just a terrible, terrible card. Let me see if I can find it in our card collection. We'll not do this special edition. We'll do that. He's down here somewhere, right here. Nope, I can't activate him from here, so it's gonna have to be on the main team to activate him. It's just not a great card. Not real happy with it. And to be 3 wins away from Noodles. It was Noodles. You're 16-2 in the round robins and 1-3 in the elimination section, it gets tough. It's a little bit rough there towards the end. And one game playoffs, they're always nerve-wracking. So this is the Robert person we ended up with. Okay stuff. The movements, the control is just terrible. There's nothing I can really do with this card. He's got a bad curveball. He's got an okay splitter, decent fastball and slider, but there's just not a lot I can do with this card. I don't enter too many of the special edition tournaments, and so it's kind of a useless card. It's not something that can play in perfect team, and so it was a little bit disappointing. I think I would have liked getting knocked out in the round earlier. It was I forget who it was, but it was a solid gold card around earlier. And so, yeah, just a little bit sad there. I'm going to talk real quick about, before we get into the stats, I'm going to talk about what my plans for the rest of this season and starting into next season are. So we're going to close out of the Park 21 over the next couple of weeks. I'm going to keep doing these tournament streams for you guys. This week, we're going to hit Silver Defense. Next week, we're going to hit the best of 7 Silver Quick tournaments. And then we'll hit the daily historical cap. I've been working on data for that. I wanted to do it next week, but I'm not going to have enough data for it yet, I don't think. And then 23 March, we're going to come right back to where we all started, where my stream started back last April or May. And we're going to take one last look at bronze, at open bronze quick tournaments, one last look at them. And then on the 30th, which is the Tuesday after Out of the Park 22 release, we're going to do Out of the Park 22 tournament preview. So we're going to take a look at the tournaments that we have available to us. We'll discuss it a little bit and then hit a few other things on that stream. Probably talk about team building, like early team building. But I think that stream's going to end up being mostly my offline league. The one I'm running right now, my alternate baseball history. So we'll see what happens with that one. That one's going to be kind of a play it by ear stream. I don't think I'm going to have enough data to run a tournament that day. Zenith loves the daily historical cap. I'm looking forward to it. Thanks, LFC USA. I appreciate it. Let's see. Plans for next season. So this is the big one that you guys probably care about today. So what you can expect from me going into next year, as I keep doing this, is we're going to do 3-week rotations. We'll do quick tournaments twice, and then a daily or a weekly selection. So expect us to start with iron, then bronze, and then some sort of a daily tournament that I can pull data on for 2 weeks and then get it out to you guys. Then expect to go something like silver, gold, and then we'll hit a weekly tournament. And then we'll throw the defense tournaments in there as necessary just to make sure that we're getting a good mix of tournaments. What I don't want to get into is I got into a huge rut during 21 back in July or August where I was just going iron, bronze, silver, gold, iron, bronze, silver, gold, and it just got really boring for me and probably boring for the people who were watching me every week back then too. The stream has expanded since then. We're doing some other things, but Tournament Tuesdays will remain going into next season, and that's what you can expect from me from the stream. What are my goals for Out of the Park 22 and the 2021 stream season? Well, I want to get better at tournament play. I spend a lot of time building the spreadsheets, getting stats, downloading data, stuff like that. I have not spent a lot of time actually trying to improve my own play. We were packs only for a really long time, which I enjoyed, but I think we're going to move on from that. I just don't think it's a good way for me to enjoy the game anymore. We'll still have a packs only team. It just won't be the main team. I want to spend more time on the Discord interacting with you guys because, it just makes sense for me to be on there with you guys, asking questions of you guys answering questions for you guys. It's one thing that I don't think I've done enough of this season is I get all this data, but I'm never in the Discord. One thing I have enjoyed, I've been in there for the last week or so, and I've really enjoyed watching a lot of people complaining about why is my bronze defense team not winning anymore. So maybe you guys took whatever we put out last week to heart and are messing up some people's lives out there. I want to talk a little bit more about team building and strategy while we're on this stream next season. I don't do it. I just go over the tournament stats and I don't do a lot of team building or strategy. I do more team building strategy stuff on the online league streams, but I want to get into the tournament strategy a little bit more. And then finally, I'm going to get a haircut. I just can't do it anymore. So it's been, I gave up. My goal when I left the military was I'm never going to cut my hair again. Never. And because, I had no hair for 20 years. I've had enough of it. I just don't want it anymore. So let's see. Sten says he's running 2 bronze defense as we speak. Bottom of the 6 finds the lower levels most enjoyable. So I think the thing with the lower levels is that everyone can get into them. They're a little bit more competitive, especially earlier on. And there's some of them that have really solid rewards too, like the weekly bronze and the Iron Warriors all have pretty solid rewards that come out of them too. It's been since October of 2019 for me since I got a haircut, so it needs to go. I wake up in the middle of the night with hair in my face, or like my wife's sleeping on my hair and I can't move and stuff like that, and I can't do it anymore. Yeah, well, I don't want to be bald either anymore. Let's get into some tournament stats, shall we? I'm going to also this week, depending on how much time we take with the Silver Defense tournament stats, I'm going to hit on my alternate baseball history today as well. Maybe run a week of Sims in there, so it'll be a special treat for you guys and for me, just so you can see what it's all about. I know I've been posting about it on the Discord. I'd love to get a little bit more community activity over there. I think it's going to be a really fun project as we go through, and I'd like to get people involved in it as well. It should be reasonably affordable. Let's see, 6. How expensive do you think it'll be to build an Iron Bronze team from the beginning of the cycle next year? It should be reasonably affordable, but we shall see. The first couple of weeks tend to be really weird on the auction house. So what do I like about Silver Defense? I like Silver Defense because it's still a pretty good bang for your buck. It's only 16-team tournaments, best of 3 series. And so you still go through pretty quickly. And you get through the tournaments really fast. So you're either in it or you're out of it, and it happens really fast. So you can spam over and over and over. So it's really nice. Let's bring Silver Defense tournament up just so we can show what it's all about. So it is modern era, 16 teams, silver or lower, from 1980 to 1992. Same as the bronze defense last week, just silver. Modern era, modern stats, designated hitter, best of 3 series. So they go really quickly. They don't kick off all that quickly. So the bronze is always going. Like, you get into a bronze defense tournament and you're going to be starting in 5-10 minutes. Silver takes a little bit longer. Sometimes it takes a couple hours for it to fill up. Still a relatively low cost of entry, but not nearly as low as the bronze. But it's a pretty good bang for your buck too. I found that it's probably not as competitive as bronze right now because people don't want to put as much money in because it's not a huge reward, and it just doesn't kick off nearly as much as the silver either. What's that? The Thursday, the silver snapshots? Yeah. Also, it's been Noodles the last 2 weeks. So Noodles is like a 1.5 million point card. It's a really solid card. That's part of why the silver snapshots have been filling up so fast too. Let's see. Definitely need more Silver Defense. Yeah, I'd love if they fire more often too. It's a really good mix of players. So let's get through them. We'll start with a bronze catcher. BJ Sirhoff is your 3rd most used catcher at number 8. He's got a 253 weighted on base average this week. Pretty low compared to what he normally does, though. His all-time rank is 5th with a 281 weighted on base average. Just to add one more thing to my goals for the 2022 is I need to figure out what to do with defense. I'm not sold on what's going on with the defense right now. I don't like it, and I have to figure out a way to either get it to calculate better or to determine not to use it and just use ratings for defense as a way to calculate stuff. So yeah, that's another goal for 2022. BJ Sirhoff, 7th this week in batting average, but everything was 20 points below what we're used to seeing out of him. 290 on base percentage. Oh, I forgot to bring this stuff up again. Here we go. So for this tournament, we got 130,000 plate appearances at this point. 262 overall batting average, 310 on base percentage, 407 slugging, 718 OPS, and a 316 weighted on base average league wide. 13 or so home runs per 600 and 9 steals per 600. Innings pitched, we have 31,000. Earned run average right around 4. 1.254 whip. Just under 5.5, over 5.5 strikeouts per 9. Just under 0.9 home runs allowed per 9 innings and 2.22 walks per 9 innings. We're seeing 78% starting pitchers are right-handed pitching, 69% our relief pitchers are right-handed pitching all time. This week it was 81 and 69%. Everything kind of skews towards right-handed pitching this week. Batting meta, we got left-handed batters at 33%, right-handed 26%. Lots of switch hitters in this tournament format. One of them is a catcher, I believe. Sirhoff is your main catcher in bronze tournaments. I totally get it. He's a solid offensive catcher in bronze, especially against right-handed pitching. I'm not sold on him here, though. He's even his good stuff when he's not whatever he did this week, which was just terrible. Even this is still rating out about 7th. Slugging's pretty low, which is a little surprising for me because Sirhoff usually has a decent slugging percentage. The on-base percentage of 290 is pretty low too. So Sirhoff comes in at number 8 this week with a really bad week, but ranks number 5 overall. We'll see who else is on the list. Defensively, he kind of is what he is. He's not terrible. He's not great. Not going to kill you, but he's not going to be the reason your team's winning games either. At number 7, Jody Davis, who's a really good defensive catcher, 31.1% caught stealing percentage, which puts him second. Third in stolen bases against per game. You never had any luck with Lava. Yeah, that's a lot of people move from Sirhoff to Lava. I haven't had a ton of success with Lava either. I'm not doing bronze right now, but we're going to get back into it this week. In bronze, if you're not using Bob Boone, are you talking about bronze, Sergeant Mushroom? Let's see. So Jody Davis, we got 94 ability, 111 catcher. Solid power out of him. He's 4th among catchers in home runs and 7th in weighted on base average though. So 273, well below league average. Solid slugging. He's the most used catcher down here. I think the defense plus some semblance of power has something to do with it. Some semblance of offense has something to do with it. Overall, his rate stats aren't great. 9th out of 10 all-time in most of them. A little bit better on the slugging. 3rd all-time home runs per 600 over 3,600 plate appearances for Jody Davis at this point. Does strike out quite a bit. Doesn't walk too much, but again, pretty solid defensively. We'll see if there's any better catchers on this list defensively that we like better. So let's move on to number 6, which is Tim Blackwell, who is the 4th most used this time. Only 294 plate appearances. So you can see that we just didn't get a huge sample size this week of the silver snapshots. They take a little while to really fill up and get going. But Blackwell rated 6, 299 weighted on base average, which is still a little bit below league average. Defensively, he's okay, right in the middle of the pack. 1.3 stolen bases against per game, strikes out quite a bit. 37, 34 avoid Ks is absolutely terrifying to me. That's really, really scary. I need to get a zoom in mouse and update that. Home runs just over 11, which is right in the middle of the pack among catchers defensively. So let's see. And that's Tim Blackwell. At number 5 is Jim Sunberg. Another solid defensive catcher. This is your silver Jim Sunberg. He's the 2nd most used. Grading out quite a bit better than Jody Davis offensively, though. 302 weighted on base average for him to go along with a 684 OPS, 381 slugging, 302 on base percentage, which is almost league average. The batting average still pretty low. Let's check out Davis again. 233, 258, 273. So you're looking at a good 30 points a weighted on base average over Davis from Sunberg, who's also throwing out the most. 31.9%, catcher ERA 6th. Stolen bases against per game of 1.12 is 4th. Lava has better defensive stats. You guys are still talking bronze. Let's see. What else are we saying? Honestly, I like him better than any silver catcher right now. Sunberg is close, but not enough for me. Interesting. Oh, are you talking for Lava right now? Here in this tournament? That's Sunberg for you. All time, he ranks 4th. 299 weighted on base average, right in line with his stuff this week. 241 batting average. It looks like that's probably about what you're going to get out of him. 12 or so home runs, and he comes in at number 5. But him and Jody Davis are looking pretty good defensively. Number 4, Chris Bando comes in at number 4. This is your number 1 power hitting catcher. I'll be honest, he kind of looks like a designated hitter to me. The catching arm, catching ability, catcher defense is not very good. Only 235 plate appearances too, so keep that in mind. Really super small sample size. And so with 30 this week, 24 all-time at an 80 in this format, you're definitely going to lean closer to this 24, maybe even a little bit lower if we're being totally honest. I suspect we see even this all-time number come down to the high teens over time. But for this week, he was pretty solid. 312 weighted on base average. Caught stealing percentage is the worst. Ninth in catcher earned run average. Eighth in stolen bases against per game. Perhaps a designated hitter. He is a switch hitter. Perhaps as a designated hitter, the offensive ratings look okay. The numbers look okay. But I don't think I like him as a catcher. Number 3 is Don Slott, who is your 4th or 5th most used all time in this week. 314 weighted on base average this week, which is a little higher, but not too much than his all time. Up at 1,000 plate appearances now for him. You can see it looks like there's 5 or so catchers. There's a pretty decent mix here, to be honest. 274 batting average, 298 on base percentage, 422 slugging at this point for Don Slott over the course of the last week or so. 14 home runs puts him 3rd. A little bit higher than his all-time home runs, which has him 7th, but still, the weighted on base average is right in line with his all-time, which is at 308, which has him 3rd all-time. Okay, not great defensively, kind of a little bit worse than Sirhoff is what it looks like. The catcher rating of 49 doesn't quite reach green. Arm and ability, both 15 or so points less than a guy like Sirhoff. So you're really looking at him as a contact bat with a little bit of power versus left-handed pitching, and I don't see too much of a place for him here in this tournament with only 21% of the pitchers being left-handed for Don Slott, which is why you're seeing him way down the list. If there was more, if it flips, if we start seeing a lot more left-handers in this tournament, then maybe you start seeing Don Slott a little bit more. But for now, I don't think he's terribly playable against right-handed pitching. Number 2 is Lava. 321 weighted on base average, 722 OPS, 287 batting average, over 225 plate appearances this week. It was a good week for Lava. All time in 900 plate appearances, still too small of a sample size to start saying stuff for sure, but still 319 weighted on base average with no power. This dude's just an on-base machine. 343 on-base percentage, 283 batting average. The caught stealing percentage is a lot lower than I would have expected it to be at 26.2. So far, he's the 3rd best arm I've seen. Maybe not even. 84 tied, 76, 88. Yeah, so he's right around the 3rd best arm that we've seen so far, with a 100 catcher rating and an 86 catcher ability and some serious on-base skills for Lava. Put him at number 2 in your batting order or something like that. I like him. I know he's a bronze, and we're talking silver defense, but I still kind of like this card here in this format. At number 1, Benny Santiago, 75 rated Benny Santiago. Again, huge splits versus lefties, which is sad in this tournament format because he is going to hit really well against lefties. Probably have a lower on-base percentage, but for this week, in 108 plate appearances, he got on base 38 or so times, 361 on base percentage, 405 weighted on base average. Stellar offensive week for Benny Santiago. Caught stealing percentage of 25.5 is not good. And almost 2 steals against per game, which is the worst among all catchers. So defensively, he doesn't look very good as a catcher. Offensively, if there were more lefties, then maybe you think about him as a designated hitter, but I don't see Santiago getting too much more play. I really think it comes down to Davis, Sunberg, and Lava at this point. Lava looks good. I don't know if it stays that well over a bigger sample size, but for me, it's between really those 3 and maybe Sirhoff, just because he's pretty good offensively. I don't know that Sirhoff plays in this format, though. You can see even in 1,300 plate appearances all time, we're just not seeing what we see out of him in lower formats. And so even though he splits versus righties, Sirhoff, I don't think quite plays up in this format. I think Lava plays up just a little bit more and plays better defense to go along with it too. Yeah, you're not getting the base running that you get out of Sirhoff, but I think that Lava is a little bit better of an option than Sirhoff here. And then Davis and Sunberg both look pretty solid too from a defensive standpoint. You'll take a Lava Benito combo. I can see it. You get the versus righties of Lava almost every day, and then on the days where you're facing a lefty, have Santiago come in and just crush those lefties. It's crazy. You've won 4 of the last 7 silver defense tourneys you've joined. All of your secrets will be revealed today. I don't know about that. But yeah, hopefully some of your secrets get revealed today. We had 8 first basemen show up. Willie Aikens. There is a tie here at 5th and 6th. I don't remember who it is off the top of my head. I'm going to guess it's maybe Hernandez and somebody else. Bagwell? Not Bagwell. Not Durham. Herbeck? Not Herbeck. I don't know. There's a tie for current. We'll figure it out when we get to it. Willie Aikens. It might be Willie Aikens, actually. Looks like Willie Aikens might be the tie in here at 5th and 6th. So, again, we talked a little bit about that last week. I'm going to work on that and try to figure out a better way to do that. It just, the calculations that I had to do to make it work just did not work. Aikens versus righties is a masher. 70, 67, 102 power, 53 I. Not as good versus lefties. The I and avoid Ks versus lefties is a bad combination. Also loses a ton versus lefties, and the I avoid K versus righties isn't that great either. He's also really, really, really spectacularly bad defensively. A negative 15 zone rating over 924 plate appearances as a first baseman is spectacularly bad. Very, very bad first baseman. And so maybe a designated hitter option, but even there, we're just not seeing results from him at all. 301 weighted on base average, just under 30 home runs, which is, everything's kind of right in line with his all-time over that small sample size this week. 424 slugging. There's just better options out there, guys. Better options that can play first base a little bit better, too. He sticks at number 8 this week. Exam enters them regularly, and they're really streaky. Yeah, I find that they're really streaky, too. Agreed on that. Kent Herbeck, your 4th most used all-time and this week, comes in at number 7, surprisingly. Again, pretty bad defensively, although the 62 first base rating combined with a 44 error rating offsets that just a little bit. You can see 22 and 30 is just not, I just can't do it. 44 and 62, I could live with at first base, even with the 27 range. It's, you can kind of live with that at first base. Can Herbeck hit? He's grading out 7th this week, 7th all-time, and he was 20 points below his all-time this week. It's 321 weighted on base average on time, all-time, 27 home runs. Good at avoiding strikeouts, good at walking, so he will walk more than anybody else, which gives him kind of an okay on-base percentage at 313, which is just above league average. Again, I think there's better options out there than Kent Herbeck. Let's move on to number 6. Which is Keith Hernandez. This is your bronze Keith Hernandez. Very good defensively. Number 1 defensively here at first base. Offensively, leaves a little bit to be desired, but had an off week this week with a 301 weighted on base average. Just 5 home runs. He's not going to have a ton of power. And first base is one of the few positions where you're going to get a lot of power out of in this format. And so, power is not a huge thing in the defense tournaments, in the silver and bronze defense tournaments, but there's a little bit more in this tournament than there is in, say, iron or regular bronze. So in a regular bronze tournament, we like Keith Hernandez a lot, even though he doesn't have any power, because he's one of the few decent options at first base, him and Mike Marshall, and that's about it for defense at first base. And he hits against lefties and righties, though he does have splits. 14 points of I, 7 points of power splits versus righties, which is good for this format. Does have a little bit of speed, kind of well-rounded, but all-time 326 weighted on base average is okay. Just under 10 home runs is okay. Just under 400 slugging is below league average. Batting average at 268, just above league average. So is the defense enough for you to say, you know what, we can live with just 10 home runs out of our first baseman? It's kind of up to you to decide. I don't think he's a bad option. I think he's a better option than the other 2 guys we've seen so far. But I also am not sold on him either. At number 5 is Leon Durham. He's your most used, 2nd most used this week, with 977 plate appearances, a 311 weighted on base average, an error of 40 with a rating of 60 for a 1.38 zone rating, so top half. Again, it's first base, so we can be happy with that. 27 home runs per 600 puts him 4th. Has a little bit of speed, number 1 among first basemen with steals, but again, 7 steals is not a reason for you to put him in the lineup. It's just not enough. It's a reason to consider when you're selecting players, but I would not say, hey, Leon Durham steals 7 bases per 600 plate appearances. He's got to be in the lineup. Why would he have to be in your lineup? Slugging is okay. Home runs with okay defense to go along with it. Also versus righties. Plays a lot better versus righties. Huge splits versus righties. And so that's pretty important in this format with so many right-handed pitching. But he comes in at number 5. Number 4 is Wade Boggs, your number 2 most used player. He's grading out 4th in weighted on base average. Negative steals. Guys, just set him to not steal. Just say, hey, Wade Boggs, buddy, just stand on the base until somebody hits it, please. On base percentage, he's 4th. Batting average, he's 2nd. Not too surprised there. It's a pretty high avoid Ks with a pretty high contact, so he's gonna be putting the ball in play. The eye's a little bit low, so you see his batting average is a little bit lower among first basemen at number 4. Solid on base or batting average though, and even a .331 on base percentage is pretty good. That's pretty well above league average too. Giving you the second best defense at first base, according to zone rating at this time. And so I think he's a valid option at first base, especially since he's better versus righties. The splits are not huge. And so he can play against lefties and righties. He's not a guy that you need to pinch hit for late in games or anything like that. I think that Wade Boggs is a guy who is a pretty solid option here at first base for the Silver defense tournaments. At number 3 is Mark Grace, another guy who splits hard versus righties. You got 11 points of contact, you got 1 point of power, 14 points of eye, and 16 points of avoid K versus right-handed pitching. Defensively, he is pretty bad, probably the second worst defensive player we've seen, and that kind of bears itself out via zone rating. Offensively, he looks okay, 2nd in weighted on base average, doesn't steal any bases. Home runs just under 20, so decent power. Number 1 in on-base percentage among first basemen. Number 2 all-time for Mark Grace, but again, 684 plate appearances. We'll see what we get going forward. It looks good, but it doesn't look good with this, right? I think that because this is so bad, I think that Boggs and Durham look and even Hernandez look just a little bit better to me, even though Grace's bat is going to be probably slightly better than all of those guys. If you really just want to bat for his first baseman, Grace might be the guy. But I think that there's other positions that you can get guys that do the same thing that Grace does. Whereas you throw Boggs in there, he's elite at batting average. Grace is good. Grace is great at on-base percentage, but he doesn't really run well enough to make that super important. And then, let's see. And Durham's got power. So Grace at number 3, I still think I lean Boggs and Durham slightly ahead of him. Number 2 is Wally Joyner. Joyner splits heavy versus righties, except for in gap power, where he splits versus lefties. And so we're looking at decent power, good contact. He's grading out number 1 in average, number 3 in on-base percentage, number 2 in slugging, number 3 in weighted on-base average, and better steals than... Who was the last guy? Better steals than Mark Grace, which is a little surprising because Grace's speed looked a little bit better. He does play a little bit better defense at first base, but still a 37 error. He's grading out 5th at first base. All time, he's 338 in weighted on base average and 448 in slugging for Wally Joyner. Looking good versus righties. Not huge numbers. I'm a little surprised to see him this high. And you can see this is way higher than his all-time. So it's 20 points of batting average and really only 5 points of weighted on base average. He lost some home runs. It's really interesting because showing 21 home runs all time, 2nd in slugging. So he went up 11 points in slugging, or down 11 points in slugging, but grades out 4th. So interesting stuff there for Wally Joyner. Looks like somebody had a good week this week. Who is it? Number 1 is Jeff Bagwell. Nuh-uh. He's got to be getting platooned. 81 contact, 54 gap, 72 power, 72 eye, 52 avoid Ks versus lefties. The numbers don't look nearly as good versus righties. I imagine he's getting heavy platoon action. Not great defensively, 29 error with a 51 rating. But man, if you have the ability to platoon somebody versus lefties, Jeff Bagwell might be that guy. 31 home runs is number 1 among first basemen. Number 1 in slugging, OPS, weighted on base average, on base percentage, and number 2 in batting average. Again, you're going to want to platoon him if you can. I think that a Boggs Bagwell platoon perhaps might not be too bad. Durham Bagwell platoon, if you can fit it. Do you want to fit a platoon at first base? I don't know. That's up to you. Do you want to? Can you platoon him at designated hitter, perhaps, and then use him as a backup first baseman? I don't know, but Bagwell put up serious numbers in what I imagine is a heavy platoon this week. He comes in at number 1. On to the second baseman. You guys are quiet today. On to the second baseman. Number 7 is Steve Sachs. We had 7 qualifying second basemen. Sachs comes in at number 7. You can see he's got heavy splits versus lefties too, and he's just not good defensively. 434 plate appearances for him, 953 all time. Somebody likes Steve Sachs a lot and is playing him. Really bad defensively with a negative 44 zone rating. I can't stomach that at second base. I can't live with that kind of defense at second base. I think he's as unusable as any card we've seen on the list today so far. Can you run him as a DH? Then becomes the question. Maybe versus lefties. 91 contact, 89 gap, 89 avoid Ks versus lefties with some speed and steal ability. Have him be careful when people are hitting the ball, but he can steal for you too. 14 steals per 600 plate appearances. He is grading out number 1 in on-base percentage, slugging, OPS, and weighted on-base average. I think you can fit him in as a designated hitter. He might even be good enough as versus righties to be a designated hitter versus righties as well. It's a solid looking bat. What's up, Oof? Welcome to the stream. You've used Sachs as a DH. I can absolutely see using him as a DH. Your work is currently having the audacity to insist that you work. I apologize for that. That's sad. I did that for a long time. Number 6 at second base is Tony Bernazard, grading out 4th defensively. He's the most used second baseman. Again, we've got a tie here at second base. It looks like one of them might have been Steve Sachs. So Bernazard with a 69 range, 77 second base rating, and a 73 error rating with a decent turn double play rating, grading out middle of the pack defensively, grading out 6th in weighted on base average, 6th in slugging, 6th in batting average, and then 2nd in home runs. So a little bit of power out of the second base position for you for Tony Bernazard. Oh. 1 second, guys. All right, guys, I got a couple-minute emergency. Gonna take a quick break. Not a real emergency, but I have good kids who are trying to help somebody out. So it's okay. That's okay. Tony Bernazard. We were talking about Bernazard. 6th in WAR among second basemen. The defense plays down a little bit. I'm a little bit surprised to see him so high. Let's see who the other guys are and what their ratings look like. He does split. He even splits versus lefties. He's a switch hitter, so people are loving him as a switch hitter. I don't know. It's interesting. I'm a little surprised to see him this high on the list being used. I'm out of breath now. That's too many steps. Anyone need Tony Gwynn for the face of the franchise mission? I don't have the perfect points for that right now, sadly. I do. Let's see. Yeah, so Bernazard at number 6. Number 5 is Damaso Garcia, grading out 3rd defensively. He's the 6th most used. Let's see. We've got 11 home runs, puts him third. Some steals, some base running here, which you don't get out of too many guys in this format. Fourth in average, seventh in on-base percentage, though, which kind of reduces the usefulness of the steals. Fourth in slugging, sixth in OPS, and seventh in weighted on-base average out of 7 guys. So last in weighted on-base average out of our 7 second basemen. Just to use the highest rated card. Yeah, you're probably right about that too. Garcia's interesting because he's got a pretty good avoid Ks and pretty solid contact and gap power versus right-handed pitching, even though it's a little bit of a reverse split here versus right-handed pitching. And so with the speed and with the defense being okay, 78 range is okay, not great. He's interesting to me. Interesting option. We're seeing a 411 slugging. Let's see, all time we're seeing 408, 311 weighted on base average all time. Again, no home runs. Decent batting average at 288. That's a pretty solid batting average. Let's see who the rest of the guys are. We got Wally Bachmann showing up. Heavy versus righty splits here. We know all about Wally Bachmann. Decent speed, base running ability. Can sack bunt. Plays okay defense at second base. He is grading out first this week in all of the rate stats, over 434 plate appearances. He's a solid bat against right-handed pitching. Is he a solid enough bat for you to use him as a designated hitter in the silver format where you have guys who are probably a little bit better hitters than him? I don't know. I don't know that Bachmann is good enough as a bat to be used as a designated hitter. And based off of what I'm seeing here, I think the defense is playing down just a little bit. I think that there are probably better options out there than Bachmann. First in uniform burning. Perhaps, yeah, is that what we're talking about? Bernazard with a 79? Maybe. At number 3 is Geronimo Pena. We've got some lefty splits here, big lefty splits. I imagine he's getting platooned. Okay, decent ratings at second base. These are not ratings I would play at shortstop, but you can get away with it at second base, especially if you have a good defensive shortstop or first baseman. Offensively, we're seeing a 336 weighted on base average this week, which was way higher than his all-time 315. Second in slugging all-time, 22 home runs. First among second basemen in home runs. Do you want home runs against left-handed pitching out of your second baseman who plays mediocre defense? Geronimo Pena might be your guy. I don't know that I would play him. Is first in steals this week, but that number comes way down all time. I'm curious. I don't think I looked at Garcia's all time, 20.16. So somebody is using Garcia this week. Somebody's using these guys this week and really pushing up their stolen bases. This is probably closer to what you can expect for steals, which hurts because the on-base percentage is pretty low. So let's see. That was Pena. Yeah, tequila. Yeah, use that to hydrate. Number 2 is Lance Blankenship. So what do we have here? We have your number 1 rated defensive second baseman as per zone rating. Number 5 in weighted on base average. Solid, not spectacular bat. Not going to hit any home runs, but he's going to get on base. 350 on base percentage with okay ability to run. I think that is pretty important. He's 328. He played a little bit up this week. Just a 249 plate appearance sample size, though. It looks like everybody's leaning towards Tony Bernazard and the guy who I'm going to assume comes out at number 1 because we haven't seen him yet. Weighted on base average is 6th all time among second basemen. But again, pretty good defensive numbers. I don't know that sticks by the ratings. That might be a small sample size relic for Lance Blankenship. The 87 rating at second base is okay. But look at this. Lance Blankenship plays some outfield, 42, 30, 37 across the outfield with 60 outfield range. Maybe a utility guy. I don't think I'd use him as a utility center fielder. That's pretty scary on the games he's playing in center field. But perhaps a utility second baseman, left fielder, right fielder. His splits are heavy versus lefties. You got 14 points of I. You got 4 points of avoid Ks. And actually his gap and power are a little bit more versus righties. It's interesting splits for him. So we'll see what number 1 looks like. Blankenship, I wouldn't call him unusable. I can see ways to fit this card into your lineup. Let's see. And number 1 is Harold Reynolds, comes in at number 1. He's coming out number 2 defensively, but again, I think he's slightly better probably than Blankenship overall defensively. He also has, 8 points of split versus lefties, but 1 point of I and 5 points of avoid Ks. So I lean him towards righties, but there's really not big enough splits here to be concerned about it. He's third among second basemen in stolen bases, second in average, third in on-base percentage, fifth in slugging, fourth in OPS, and fourth in weighted on-base average, to go along with pretty awesome, pretty good defense too. I really think Harold Reynolds is the guy here at second base. I think that I'm not going to tell you not to use a guy like Garcia. I don't like Bernazard. I know he's up here as the most used, and I don't come on here playing I'm smarter than you very often. I just don't love Bernazard. I'm not a big fan of Bernazard. You talking about for Blankenship? Yeah, I can see why you would want to avoid that for the 46 contact. I really think that his on-base percentage is getting pushed up by being platooned, and the combination of 46 contact and 47 avoid Ks here for Blankenship is pretty off-putting for me. I think Reynolds is. I think I don't usually go, hey, the number 1 guy on my list is the guy, especially because of small sample size. I really think that Harold Reynolds is the guy here in silver defense at second base. I think other options, Garcia could potentially be an option. I really don't like Bernazard. Let's go back to him real quick. I really don't like him. I don't like him here at second base. I think the bat's not good enough to really make up for the lack of range at defense. I think that Reynolds' defense is pretty clearly superior to his, and I think Reynolds' offense is pretty clearly superior to his too. Also, he's a 79 rated switch hitter, so I think you're probably seeing people go, he's a 79 rating and a switch hitter, he's got to be good. The stats aren't bearing it out, and I think that Reynolds looks to be the clearly superior option to Tony Bernazard. And so those are the second basemen. Let's hit the third baseman real quick. We got seven third basemen. Reynolds number 1. Exxon agrees. You don't not like him. Rance Mullinix comes in at number 7 at third base out of our 7 qualifiers with a 310 weighted on base average. Does not have enough innings to qualify in the field. So what does that mean? That means people are using him as a designated hitter. Now, is Rance Mullinix good enough to be a designated hitter? I don't think so. We got 92 gap, 59 contact, 63 power, 69 I, and 60 avoid Ks, which looks solid on their face against right-handed pitching. The defense at third base is atrocious. The offense doesn't look that great. I think this is probably one guy using him over and over. I don't love Rance Mullinix. Let's just move on. Number 6 is Jim Presley. At least we're getting some power out of Jim Presley and really serious numbers versus left-handed pitching. So if you can platoon your third baseman, Presley might be a good option. 48 range is not great at third base, but a 61 arm and 70 error with a 47 rating at third base. Can you live with it? Perhaps, if he's hitting really well. He does not hit really well. 7th in all of the rate categories. Hits some home runs. That's about all you can say for him. I just don't think he hits well enough. Not a lot of options here at third base. Number 6 is Jim Presley. At number 5, Kelly Gruber comes in at number 5. He's your third most used all time. It's pretty clear that people have selected their third baseman based off of the lists over there. Gruber will hit home runs and will hit them against righties. He'll hit doubles against lefties, walk a little bit against lefties. Won't, the avoid Ks there's really not a split there. Defensively, 45 range. Sorry, I got a scratch in my throat today. Not a good day to spend 4 hours talking to you guys. 45 range, 59 arm, 69 error for Kelly Gruber to go along with a 44 third base rating. I'm not in love with it. Solid slugging, solid power. Lots of power against righties, but you lose some I, and the avoid Ks is not great against right-handed pitching. So Kelly Gruber, again, we're looking at a 79 rated guy that's probably getting some play because of that. He's the third most used, but I don't think he's really necessarily an option. Number 4 is Ernie Ryles. 45 range, 59 arm, 89 error at third base. Plays a little bit of second base, so maybe a mini utility guy. Heavy splits versus right-handed pitching. 69 contact, 57 gap, 74 power, 51 eye, 52 avoid Ks. Let's see. Click on that. 52 avoid Ks. You got number 1 in weighted on base average, number 2 in batting average, second in on base percentage all time among third basemen, third in home runs among third basemen. Defensively, middle of the pack, negative 1.43 zone rating, which isn't great, but a 987 fielding percentage. That 89 error, infield error is for real. 987 is a pretty solid fielding percentage, even over like half a season for a third baseman. So, but again, it is only 400 plate appearances. So, one error probably knocks that down to 983 or even lower. Again, heavy splits versus righties. Kind of looking at a guy, if you're going to look at a platoon, he better be really awesome, and I really don't think that his versus righties is good enough for me to say, hey, I'm going to platoon this guy against right-handed pitching. So we're going to move on to number 3. Denny Walling comes in at number 3. What can we say about Denny Walling? Well, I bought him off the auction house because I wanted to start running him, and he is a pretty good option at third base. Let's see, we got 20. It looks like mostly getting run at third base. He does have some left field here, but it doesn't look like he's getting used too much in left field, even though he'd be a pretty okay left fielder. But again, there's just not a lot available here at third base. And Walling versus righties is an 80, 72, 71, 47, 83. The 47i is whatever. He's not going to walk, but the avoid Ks plus 80 contact, he's going to swing at some weird pitches but foul them off, kind of like a not as powerful Vlad Guerrero kind of guy. Really solid stuff against right-handers. Versus lefties, huge splits, but again, with 80% of the pitchers in this tournament being right-handed, I think that you can live with these numbers versus lefties, especially since he's pretty good defensively. A 56 range, 67 arm, 75 error for him at third base. It puts him third defensively, fourth in fielding percentage. We'll see what the top 2 guys look defensively, but I think Walling's a spectacular option here at third base. Let's check out. It's going to be Sabo and probably Zeal are going to be the guys that we're going to see at number 2 and number 1. There's Sabo, who is probably your number 1 defensive third baseman. Does he hold up offensively to Walling? Not really. His versus righties, he's got some pretty big splits here versus lefties. So if you can platoon the 2 of them, then they become a really solid platoon option. I think a Sabo Denny Walling platoon, again, if you have the roster spots, is pretty stellar. 66 contact versus 53. The gap stays the same. 12 points of power, 7 points of I, 16 points of avoid Ks. He's a guy that you kind of have to platoon if you're going to play him in there. He's not going to be terribly useful versus righties. Also a decent pinch running option off the bench, and again, probably the best defensive option here among the 7 qualifiers that we have. I think Walling Sabo platoon can work, but I also think that Walling is good enough versus left-handed pitching that you can play him every day if you don't have room for the platoon. And I think if I was going to pick one or the other, I'm going to go with Walling if I'm going to pick between the 2. Yeah, possibly pinch runner and defensive replacement. Agree. You use Walling with Sabo as a defensive sub. I can see that too. Walling to platoon also good since Walling can back up in left field and pitch. Agreed. I think all of those are really good points. Number 1 is Todd Zeal in his 133 plate appearances of 339 weighted on base average and 761 OPS. Those are huge numbers over a 100 plate appearance sample. Over a 437 plate appearance sample, you're still seeing a 321, which is third. First in on base percentage. The defense, I would totally ignore the defense on this. I don't think Todd Zeal's number 1. Those defensive numbers are going to come down with more playing time. It's really Sabo and Walling are really the only guys defensively. I really think it's a Walling Sabo platoon or Walling starting every day is what you're going to want to run out there at third base. At shortstop, we had 5 qualifiers. Shortstop always has so many qualifiers that we get through it really fast. So we'll start with Dick Schofield, who's a 76 rated shortstop, 1,500 plate appearances all time, 400 over the most recent reporting period. We got 52 gap power, 64, 54, 62 versus righties. He splits pretty heavy versus lefties. That's not true at all. He's got 11 points of I, but 13 points of gap. Loses some power versus lefties. Contact's about the same. A little bit of base running. Okay defense, 90 range to go along with 90 shortstop rating, 88 arm, 88 turn double play, 80 error. Grades out fourth in weighted on base average among shortstops at 280. 14.43 home runs, which is first among shortstops. Doesn't play anywhere else. Bats right-handed. Splits versus lefties. Maybe. I mean, can you back him up and use him once every 4 days? I don't know. I don't like Schofield very much here at shortstop, but we'll see. Number 4, Jody Reed comes in at number 4, and I have to caveat this with the fact that Jody Reed was the number I wore growing up when I was a child playing Little League. Jody Reed was my favorite player for the Boston Red Sox back in the late 80s. Mike Greenwell was pretty close, but Jody Reed, I was a middle infielder, and Jody Reed was my guy. So anything I say good about Jody Reed can probably be discounted as being a fanboy. Splits pretty heavy versus lefties. 7 points of contact, 7 points of gap. Looks like 9 points of I and 16 points of avoid Ks. Is he good enough to play as a platoon? I don't think so. Is he good enough to play backup second base and backup shortstop as a utility guy? I also don't really think so. He grades out number 1 in weighted on base average, though, so decent bat is one thing he does. He grades out worst defensively, though. Just pretty bad defensively as a shortstop. I'd be more likely to use him as a backup second baseman, if I'm being totally honest. He started with Hernandez, but moved to Ozzy. Yeah, we'll see what they look like when we get to the top. 342 weighted on base average is nothing to sneeze at, but 161 plate appearances is. 423 plate appearances, we're seeing a 328, which puts him number 1 among shortstops. Also, doesn't strike out, walks quite a bit, has the number 1 on-base percentage among shortstops too, but the defense is just, it doesn't hold up to me here at shortstop, which makes me sad. He was not a great defensive shortstop by any stretch of the imagination. And so he comes in at number 4. I talked way more about him than I probably should have. At number 3 is Tony Hernandez. So Hernandez, we're seeing, obviously doesn't quite match up defensively with Ozzy Smith, right? So 78 shortstop rating, just a 79 range. We're going to have bronze Ozzy Smith on this list. He's on every list up to wherever. I'm surprised we don't see people playing him in diamond. 288 batting average. So all of these numbers are second to Jody Reed, and he plays okay defense. I know we're seeing a negative 25 here. Keep in mind that there's only 2 shortstops that play defense, and so he grades out 4th. The 79 range is not awesome at shortstop. A 75 arm is okay, 75 turn double play, the 93 error is good, but the 78 shortstop rating, like, it's so clear that Ozzy Smith, the bronze Ozzy, is better than Tony Hernandez defensively. So offensively, how much of a difference is it? We'll see when we get to Ozzy Smith, but Hernandez is obviously a heavy versus righties guys. He's got 14 points of avoid K, 7 points of power, 13 points of gap versus righties. You lose a little bit of power, a little bit of an I versus righties, but he's going to be a pretty solid offensive bat in this format with 80% right-handed pitching. Somebody hit some home runs. One of these shortstops hit. Was it Reed? Was Jody Reed the home run guy? No? Huh. Interesting. At number 2 is Ozzy Smith. So here's Ozzy. So let's check out the difference between Ozzy and between Tony Hernandez, who is the 2 guys that people use the most. 103 range, 103 arm, 103 double play, 110 error. We have those memorized. We know what they are. 39.02 zone rating at shortstop for Ozzy Smith. Offensively, we got 83 avoid K, 63 I, 56 gap. He is grading out with a 299 on base percentage, 289 all time, 267 weighted on base average, which is 5th all time. So you gain 40 points, 50 points of weighted on base average by using Tony Hernandez at shortstop over Ozzy Smith. You gain a bunch of home runs. You're talking 10, or no, not a bunch of home runs, because Hernandez doesn't hit home runs either, but you gain the steals. Ozzy steals more, the on-base percentage. You gain 40 points of on-base percentage between Ozzy or to go from Ozzy to Tony Hernandez. How important is this defense to you at this point? Because Tony Hernandez is far superior offensively to Ozzy Smith. And so it's up to you. I like defense at shortstop. I consider shortstop the most important defensive position on the field. I know there are people who disagree and say center field, and that's totally fine. I can see Hernandez. Yeah, I like the idea of Ozzy with Hernandez as a backup slash pinch runner. The problem is that Hernandez only plays shortstop. So it's hard for me to, so if I can live with a platoon, right, that only plays one position. If he's going to be a straight platoon and play every time a left-handed pitcher pitches, then that's cool. It's hard for me to use a backup player who only has one position, but you're actually absolutely right. He's got some speed to go along with it. But then you talk about, we had a second baseman who was faster that maybe was a pinch runner. But again, there's not too much defense here at shortstop and Silver. So that's Ozzy. I like Ozzy still. I think I lean Ozzy over Tony Hernandez, but man, it's tempting. I think I'm running Hernandez out there right now. Gagne comes in at number 1. Greg Gagne comes in at number 1. What do we got here? 99 range, 98 arm, 98 turn double play, 67 error. The fielding percentage is going to be a little bit low. The zone rating actually looks pretty good. It's not Ozzy Smith levels of zone rating, obviously, but it's comparable. And with a 90, you lose. What do you lose? It's 4 points of range, arm, and turn double play. The error is pretty bad. There's a lot of errors, and then 19 points of shortstop rating. So Gagne is obviously a step below Ozzy. But now when we start talking about offense, these just don't stack up. This is too small of a sample size for me to say this is what you're going to get from him going forward. I don't see those numbers holding up over long term. Yeah, you got a little bit of power, but not enough for me to say, okay, run him out there. Not enough speed. Ozzy's better speed wise. On base percentage is not gonna he's not gonna hold up, maintain a 296 batting average with these numbers of I and avoid K to go along with really nothing spectacular up here. I think that the decision comes between Hernandez and Ozzy. And it depends. It's up to you to figure out which one you want. George Wright did not qualify. He was not on this list. He's not in this format. Wright isn't eligible for Silver defense. Sorry, this is 1980 to 1992. If you're going to use Gagne's bat, you got to use Ozzy. I agree. I think that it comes down. I think Ozzy is the way to go, just because his defense is so good and is if it was any other position, I probably lean Tony Hernandez based off of what we're seeing here. But because it's shortstop, I still lean Bronze Ozzy Smith. I still lean towards Bronze Ozzy Smith. But I don't fault people who use Hernandez either, and I might keep running him too because I've had pretty decent success in this format. That is a lot of offense from Hernandez. And if you think about it, how much does that huge zone rating from Ozzy affect? How many plays per game does it affect? Well, quite a bit, probably. I don't have the numbers to say there's 16 hits a game that go towards shortstop that Ozzy would stop 6 of them, so you're losing 4 runs per or something like that. I don't have the numbers to back that up. Somebody way smarter than me is going to have to do that. But those are your shortstops. Let's see. I'm good here. Already took a break. Let's just move on to the outfielders, shall we? Left field. We had 6 qualifying left fielders. Joe Charbonneau comes out at number 6. He is number 1 in home runs. So Charbonneau is going to hit. He's going to have a name that I'm going to say differently every time it comes out of my mouth, and he's also going to hit 25 home runs per 600 plate appearances. You're good. It's totally fine, Gorgo. So 97 power, 93 power, splits a little bit versus lefties. So if you can platoon him like enough versus lefties that I would consider him a platoon guy. It's 9 points of avoid Ks, 12 points of I, and 11 points of contact versus lefties. So I almost consider him a platoon versus lefties. It's pretty darn close. 243 plate appearances though. We're seeing 28 home runs all time. He was actually a little bit below his all-time numbers this week, but ranked number 6 among our qualifying 6 left fielders. 316 weighted on base average, which is right around league average with pretty bad defense to go along with it. I don't think he's even good enough to consider a DH in this format based off of these numbers. At number 5 is Dave Collins, who is number 6 in home runs, but out of 6, but only hits 2. The home runs are not the reason you're going to play this guy. 34 outfield range, 71 arm, 84 error. He got plate appearances all time. Doesn't get used as much as the top three. It looks like a clear three have separated themselves here in left field. Grades 5th in weighted on base average, 5th in OPS. The bat's not good enough to be a designated hitter, and the defense is atrocious in left field. He is a switch hitter. Somebody saw a switch hitter and probably threw him in there a little bit, would be my guess, for Dave Collins. Is there anything we like about him? I mean, maybe against lefties with some base running. Maybe if you can platoon him versus lefties. There's not enough lefties for me to have a reason to play Dave Collins in this format right now. Number 4 is Aldretti, who's your most used. He does grade out second defensively. He does split pretty heavy versus righties. You got 6 points of contact. You got 5 points of power, 5 points of eye, and 3 points of avoid Ks. But Aldretti can play every day, I think, in left field. 70 range with 58 error. The arm is low, but he's a left fielder. 78 left field rating, 50 center field rating, 41 right field rating. I actually think that Aldretti is used quite a bit as a utility outfielder. And so maybe Mike Aldretti sees a lot of plate appearances there too. I'm not sure that he sets in. We'll check out Jose Cruz and Bip Roberts as well. Charbonneau, got it. And so Aldretti comes out at number 4. What are we seeing for numbers? Mid-teens home runs, 3rd in average on-base percentage slugging for him, 4th in OPS, 4th in weighted on-base average, but again, can play multiple positions, can play backup first base as well, kind of. All-time, he's 4th in weighted on-base average at 341, which is pretty solid. We're going to see some pretty good numbers on this list, I think. And then 2nd in zone rating among left fielders. So Mike Aldretti comes out at number 4. I don't go away. Next up is Bip Roberts, comes in at number 3. He's your 3rd most used all time. He does split a little bit versus lefties. He's a switch hitter, but he does have quite a bit of split. So you're looking at 12 points of gap, 10 points of power. Avoid K, the eye leans towards righties, but he is a switch hitter. And so plays okay defense in left field. Can also play second base, third base in a pinch. I would not hesitate. The 46 arm is scary, but if you have no other options at third base, I don't think he's unusable at third base. Unusable at shortstop, I would not use him as a backup shortstop. Left field wise though, he's actually pretty solid. 60 range, 64 arm, 50 error with a 70 rating in left field. Unfortunately not a utility outfielder. Again, pretty heavy splits versus lefties. We're seeing a 300 batting average, which is good. We're seeing a 354 on-base percentage, which is pretty good too. 346 weighted on-base average. All of these are really good numbers. All of them grade out 2nd or 3rd among left fielders. I have a feeling it's going to be a small sample size thing with somebody like Baniquez. We're going to get really surprised here by somebody who has a low number of plate appearances, because Roberts comes in at number 3. I like Roberts. I don't love him. I'm not 100% sold on him. I think he's in my lineup right now, but let's see what the other 2 guys look like. At number 2 is Jose Cruz. Pretty heavy splits versus righties. I think based off of what I'm seeing here, Cruz is the way to go. 66 range, 50 error, 72 left field. 4th in average, so you're losing some batting average on Bip, but not much. It's like 6 points of average. On-base percentage of 345, 341, about the same. Cruz hits home runs, 20 home runs to Roberts' 12, so a little bit more power out of Cruz. Sorry, I know I'm bouncing back and forth here a little bit. OPS of 810, weighted on base average of 354, OPS of 343, 779. So you gain some OPS, a pretty good chunk of OPS and a pretty good chunk of weighted on base average. And why is that? It's because he splits heavily versus right-handed pitching. If you can platoon them, awesome. I like Cruz in this format a little bit better than I like Bip Roberts, but I think that this is a pretty platoonable position too. They both play defense about the same. Cruz is coming out at number 1, but Roberts doesn't lag too far behind in left field. Cruz only plays one position, but he does it against righties. He's also got some speed. Roberts is a little bit more speed. So can you fit a platoon here of Cruz Roberts? If you can, awesome. It's up to you to figure out your roster, but I like Cruz. I lean Cruz in this format. I think we're going to move him into my lineup. Let's check out Juan Baniquez, shall we? Because he came in number 1 this week. Holy smokes. 179 plate appearances, and he put up one heck of a week. 400 batting average, 404 on base percentage, 605 slugging, 1030. I've never seen an OPS over 1 in any tournament, I don't think. 447 weighted on base average. Congratulations, Juan Baniquez. You were awesome this week. 84 contact versus righties versus 86 versus lefties. You got 9 points of power versus righties. You got a little bit of a reverse split going on here in power and the avoid Ks versus lefties. Interesting. Not a lot of speed. 335 average all time, over 548 plate appearances, which is still pretty small. But a 372 weighted on base average. If we had more time, I would start playing Juan Baniquez just to get more data on him. These are pretty interesting numbers. These are some crazy numbers here for Baniquez. But let's see, 84 contact, 56 gap, 61 power, 57 avoid Ks, 84, 69, 62. I don't know that he holds these up and separates himself this far long term, but those are some pretty solid numbers. And it's left field, so can you live with this defense in left field? Somebody can. Maybe as a backup. Maybe as a backup left fielder / right fielder. This is a bat that if you can fit it into your lineup, then maybe. But I still lean Cruz here in this format with a Roberts platoon if you can fit it, or Cruz with Aldretti backing all of your outfielders up is kind of the way that I lean here for left field. In center field, we had 8 qualifiers in center field. We got 10 guys all time. Van Slyke had is the 7th most used, mouth works. Van Slyke is your 7th most used in this reporting period. Holy smokes, that was really hard to get out. Andy Van Slyke is your 10th most used all time in center field. That said, Andy Van Slyke plays right field. I would not start Andy Van Slyke in center field for any reason. The offense isn't good. The defense not going to hold up in center field. He's got some speed, but somebody wanted to mess with my stats. One of you is watching and is messing with my stats by setting Van Slyke to a center fielder. I'm kidding. I don't know if that's what's happening, but I don't think you can start Van Slyke at center field. This is a non-starter for me, and so we're just going to move on. Number 7 is Jeff Leonard, who's actually the 2nd most used center fielder. I'm a little bit surprised that he's so far behind Jerry Mumphrey, but looking at the numbers, I'm a little bit less surprised. He might be playing on my team. He does not look good. 9th in weighted on base average out of 10 all time. 9th in slugging, 9th in OPS. The defense is not quite good enough to be up there. These might be all plate appearances from me, if I'm being honest. And so 292 plate appearances over this reporting period. Strikes out a lot, doesn't walk very much, doesn't have good WAR. This is the 68 Jeffrey. Why is he getting used so much? This is not me. I'm not running this guy out there. I don't know who is. I don't like it. I'm not a big fan. Heavy splits versus lefties too, so maybe, but I don't like Jeffrey Leonard. Number 6 is Reggie Sanders. 77 rated Reggie Sanders, who's grading out 3rd in weighted on base average over this period, but negative 23.41, 66 outfield range, 77 arm, 43 in center field. I honestly don't know who I'm running at center field off the top of my head. Sanders with splits versus lefties, pretty heavy splits versus lefties. Does show up number 1 in slugging and number 1 in OPS and 3rd in weighted on base average. The defense drags him down quite a bit, though. It is just a 66 range with a pretty bad center field rating. And so I'm not sure about Reggie Sanders in center field. Number 5 is Barry Bonds. 1986 rookie sensation Barry Bonds. Is he playable? Perhaps. 76 gap, but 77 power versus righties. With 76 gap versus lefties. The avoid Ks with the contact is just awful. This is rookie year Barry Bonds, not good Barry Bonds. I don't like it. 81 range. Not enough range for me to be okay with that bat. Not enough error for me to be okay with that bat. Not enough center field rating for me to be okay with that bat. I don't think he's playable in center field in this format. He might be playing on my team. Number 4 is Kevin Bass, 46 center fielder rating with 68 range. Man, there are some bad defensive center fielders in this format. heavy splits versus lefties, you're looking at 15 points of power, 81 points of gap, 5 points of contact, is not ever going to walk and is going to swing at everything. And the avoid Ks combination with that, so he's probably going to strike out quite a bit too. 5th out of 8 in strikeouts, 7th in walks. Not surprised there. 9th in walks all time. Slugging, he's 2nd. 3rd in home runs, 2nd in slugging, 4th in weighted on base average. And the defense is not great in center field. Kevin Bass. Number 3, Mike Aldretti. Here he is again. Backup center fielder, potentially. We like him versus righties. I like that he plays all 3 positions. I think he's the best utility outfielder for this format, from what I can tell so far. Number 2 is Jerry Mumphrey. So here's your number 1 most used guys. Man, there's a lot of bad center fielders here. This is defense. It says silver defense. Then you throw a bunch of center fielders at me that can't play defense. 85 range is okay. 71 center field rating is maybe the best we've seen so far. The arm and error aren't great. Does have splits versus righties, pretty big splits versus righties in power and gap. The avoid Ks is better versus lefties. He's a switch hitter. There's not a ton of good options here, guys. This is a little bit rough here in center field. The zone rating of 21.33 is 3rd among our center fielders. Who the heck was first? Isn't even on the list. Probably whoever's in first place. We'll see. 85 range. Some speed to go along with it. Numbers we're seeing: 3rd in average, 3rd in on-base percentage, 5th in slugging, 4th in weighted on-base average, 3rd in home runs, number 1 in strikeouts, so the strikeout avoidance is a real thing. Middle of the pack in walks, number 2 in WAR per 600. Who's going to be number 1? It's got to be Dykstra, right? Got to be Lenny Dykstra at number 1. It is Lenny Dykstra at number 1. Grading out 4th defensively. Interesting. I'm really curious. Kirby Puckett must be first in his 34 plate appearances. Killing me. Grading out first in weighted on base average at 367, but 337 weighted on base average all time. Grading out 2nd in average, 293. Everything this period was 330 points above his normal. I'm having a really hard time talking today, guys. I'm sorry. 30 points above everything this period. So he graded out first in this reporting period, but he is mediocre at best defensively. Does split versus righties, which is nice. I don't know. 2nd offensively, 2nd in weighted on base average, good home runs, decent walks. Gonna walk, not gonna strike out too much. Good slugging, good OPS. Where is Mumphrey and all that? 5th. I kind of like Dykstra here. All of this center field defense is crap. Why aren't more people running? That's my question, is why Kirby Puckett only had 34 plate appearances. He's only got 415 all time. I'm a little surprised to see Puckett not get used more. This is all really bad defense, but people just want their offense. Dykstra comes out number 1 here in center field. I am really surprised not to see Puckett get used more often than this. He didn't even make the list. Donovan runs Kirby. Good question about, high defense bronzes. Puckett's pretty clearly the best bronze defensive center fielder, so he's really the one guy that I'm surprised to not see on this list. Pretty surprised there. Surprising list there for me at center field. Moving on to right field. There's Van Slyke again. Okay. Dude, you need to stop. 1 second. Let me silence my phone. I don't know if that's coming through the screen, but let me silence this for just a second. There, you can... My stepson's sending me pictures, like a whole bunch of pictures. Van Slyke comes out at number 8. He's 8th in weighted on base average, 8th defensively. I don't recommend using him. He's a good bronze format player. He does not play up in this format though, so I would avoid him. Sorry, we're a bit of a mess today. Ruben Sierra is your 2nd most used right fielder. He is a switch hitter. Pretty big splits versus lefties, though, for a switch hitter. Defense isn't great. Maybe a designated hitter versus left-handed pitching. He grades out 7th in weighted on base average, 2nd in home runs, and 8th in net stolen bases. Not today, you can't. 93 strikeouts per 600 plate appearances, 5th in batting average, 6th in on-base percentage, 447 in slugging. All time, he grades out 5th Fourth in weighted on base average, which is a little closer to what I expect to see out of Ruben Sierra. 457 slugging with almost 30 home runs per 600 plate appearances. Sierra comes in at number 7. Number 6 is Claudel Washington. He's a 76 rated, heavy splits versus right-handed pitching. But we're seeing 318 weighted on base average. All-time 325. On base percentage, he's fourth in home runs, and first in steals all-time among right fielders with almost 20 per 600 plate appearances. Only second with 25. Again, steals seem to be on the rise here in Silver defense. At number 5 is Rob Deere. Here is potentially your power hitting designated hitter versus left-handed pitching. Defensively, he grades out third. I don't think that's necessarily true. Number 1 in home runs, though, 40 home runs per 600 plate appearance. First in home runs among right fielders all time. Remember his numbers in the Silver snapshots a couple weeks ago? It was like 72 home runs per 600 plate appearance or something ridiculous. And so second in weighted on base average, second in OPS, third in defense, grading out 319. So a little bit lower this week, ranking 5 this week. Fourth most used at 2,000 all time. Did not get used much this week. Somebody took him out of their lineup. Might have been me. Number 4, Ellis Valentine comes out at number 4. He's your third most used all time. Again, we're seeing a pretty heavy split versus lefties here. People may be platooning him or using him as a designated hitter versus lefties. He's grading out 5th defensively. 331 weighted on base average, 756 OPS. Third in home runs with 23. The batting average and on-base percentage at 268 and 310. Both right around league average, but they're higher than his all-time. He's playing up just a little bit here. 246 average all-time. 289 on-base percentage all-time. Both of those are pretty low. And the defense isn't great. I don't love Ellis Valentine in this format. Number 3 is Daryl Strawberry. 8th most used. Interesting. Really bad avoid Ks. He's going to strike out a bajillion D times. I will take a look here or in Discord, bottom of the 6th. Was it on Twitch or Discord? Oh, I see it. It's here on Twitch. I'll see what I can do. Ellis Valentine, best outfielder throwing arm that you ever saw. Yeah, we talked about that during the snapshots last week, I think. I don't know if you were in here 2 weeks ago talking about that. I can't remember names that well for 2 weeks, but yeah, we looked at the snapshot that we got from Valentine was like 2 or 3 years after he led the league in outfield assists. Strawberry's got some massive power versus right-handed pitching. 57 gap, 105 power, 54 eye. Let's see. Yeah, do you mind? Hey, bottom of the 6th. Let me get back to that after the stream. That's and I'll see what I can do for you. And so Daryl Strawberry at number 3, power of 105. Man, that looks weird to me. Seeing only 18 home runs, that seems a little bit low. I don't know. It's small sample size too, so maybe he gets better over time. Defensively, mediocre at best. I think that there are probably better options. That's not quite enough. And the avoid Ks is just terrible for Daryl Strawberry. Number 2, Kevin Bass comes in at number 2. We got some lefty splits here, but and they're pretty big. So 81, so 5 points of contact, 16 points of gap, 15 points of power. The eye leans a little bit towards righties. But he is a switch hitter, so you're seeing him right at the top because he switch hits. I think Sierra was a switch hitter too, wasn't he? Yeah, Sierra's a switch hitter too. Both of them lean a little bit towards lefties. It makes it a tougher option, I think. And so Bass this week with a 328 weighted on base average, 276 average, 301 on base percentage, 454 slugging, just under 20 home runs per 600. Ellis Valentine, let's see. You remember seeing Jay Buhner? Yeah, Buhner had an arm too. There's some guys that have played right field that had absolute cannons. Ichiro wasn't too bad himself. Mookie's got a pretty good arm too. WAR of 2.71 for Kevin Bass here in right field. Number 1 fielding percentage, plays decent defense to go along with okay numbers. Again, a little bit better numbers versus lefties overall. And that eye is really low for Kevin Bass, but there's not very many good options here at right field, are there? Who's number 1? Number 1 is I like it. Number 1 is Bake McBride, coming in at number 1. Splits versus righties. You got 9 points of contact, 16 points of gap, 7 points of power, 12 points of avoid Ks. He's the only one on the list that skews versus righties, and he skews heavy versus righties. Good defense to go along with it. Number 1 defensively. He's showing number 2 in weighted on base average, number 1 in average on base percentage, 2nd in OPS, 7th in home runs per 600 though. Not a ton of power here, but number 1 in batting average, number 3 in on base percentage, 5th in slugging, 5th in OPS, and 5th in weighted on base average all time. I like it. I like Big McBride at number 1. I don't know that he's actually number 1. He is the only guy on the list that splits versus righties though. But even then, the ratings don't match up with like a Bass or a Sierra. I think it's kind of pick your poison here at right field. Yeah, Evans had a cannon too. And so I don't know if I love Bake McBride at number 1. The defense is good, and that's kind of pushing him over the top. The offense looks kind of okay, but it was really high this week. He's more like middle of the pack offensively, so I don't know. It's definitely kind of pick your poison at right field. This is kind of one of those positions where I say just figure out what you need to get in your lineup. Do you need home runs? Maybe Daryl Strawberry. Do you need home runs? Maybe Ellis Valentine. I actually think I like Valentine a little bit better than Strawberry, even though Strawberry's got the righty splits, and then Bass. It's kind of pick your poison. Hard to select one here. I like McBride. I like Sierra. Valentine looks okay. Bass looks okay. They're all kind of okay options right here at right field. I'm going to take a quick break before we do the pitchers. You guys can discuss the right fielders between yourselves. I'm going to go refill my drink and check on the kids real quick. So I'll be right back in just a moment. All right. No, I have to pick kids up at school later today, so no adult beverages for me today. I actually don't do that very often anymore. Surprised Devon White isn't on there. He's not available in this format. I don't think. Let me go check. I don't have Devon White, and so I don't think, because it's between 80 and 92. What year is the Devon White card? How weak Silver right field is, I think he may be the best option all around. Yeah, what year is the card? The Devon White card. Market, auction house. He's probably not even available here, huh? He's never available on the auction house. Oh, he is 65. It's 87. Yeah, he should be available. Let's see. He is. Yeah, he's not on here anywhere. Yeah, a little surprised to not see him on there, but it is. He didn't show up, so sorry. Starting pitchers. Let's hit 15 starting pitchers, shall we? Dave Steve, 10th most used this week, 78, 136. Sorry, innings pitched. Was 15th in FIP, 4.82 earned run average, had him 12th. We had 18 qualifiers this week, 22 all-time qualifiers. And so Steve is a stuff movement, kind of flat line stuff movement control guy with 5 pitches. Fastball, sinker, changeup, curveball, slider kind of combination here. 91 stamina, 69 hold. I think he's pretty clearly a lower tier guy, but sometimes getting some of these silver pitchers can be a little bit difficult. So that's probably why he's getting used. 100% start percentage for him. Not too much, not anything out of the bullpen for Dave Steve so far. I should really do relief pitchers first, shouldn't I? I don't know. Maybe that's something to think about later on. Next up, 14. Doc Medic. I like it. Nice name. 501 earned run average puts him 14th this period. 467 FIP also puts him 14th this period. 18th in strikeouts per 9 innings, which is dead last among our 18 qualifying pitchers. 12th in home runs. 6th in walks per 9 innings. All time, he's showing 15th in FIP at 4.20. 19th in earned run average at 4.78. He's a very low stuff. Moderate movement, okay control guy with good stamina, good hold runners. The hold runners in this format, I think, loses. There's what do we got? We got 9 steals per 600. I don't necessarily think hold runners is unimportant in this format. It just isn't that important in this format. Sinker, changeup, slider, middle run-of-the-mill pitcher here in silver for Doc Medic. Might have to go back down to a top 10. We're seeing some pretty awful pitchers in these 11 through 15 ranges. Moose Haas comes in 13th in FIP, but 4th in earned run average over this period. 13th in strikeouts, 15th in home runs, 3rd in walks. He's a very, very good control pitcher. Not going to strike too many guys out. He's got a fastball, slider, changeup mix, 65% start percentage, 75% all time. So you can see how much better as a reliever we're looking at. That's a pretty big gap here between his earned run average all time and his 3.73 with a 10% start percentage. This is a guy who might benefit from being a relief pitcher instead of a starting pitcher. And that makes sense since he's only got 3 pitches to me. But Moose Haas comes in at number 13. At number 12 is Dick Ruthven. Another low stuff, high movement, decent control pitcher. Very good at home run suppression, 6th. Comes in 12th in FIP at 4.20 and 11th in earned run average at 4.67. Actually, a little bit below what he ranks all time. He ranks, he's got a 4.05 FIP all time and a 4.43 earned run average all time. So a little bit of a struggle this week for Dick Ruthven. The rest of his numbers also inflated. It looks like it was a little bit of a home run issue this week for him as he almost a 10th of a home run more per 9 innings. Over the course of his innings pitched this week, and more walks as well. So that hurt Ruthven quite a bit. At number 11 is Scott Sanderson. He's your most used starting pitcher in this format. And I think this is a little bit of a relic of the bronze format and, well, not so much bronze format, of the standard open format. He's a very high stuff, low movement, high control guy, which is what people kind of look at when they're looking at building a tournament team at anything silver and below. I think it's silver, though. Sanderson's getting hurt quite a bit by his movement. He is grading out 3rd in FIP somehow all time. He does grade out 3rd all time, but this week it was a 4.12 earned run average, a 4.17 FIP, both of those right around number 10. Number 2 in strikeouts, lets up some home runs, 16th in home runs allowed, and then 5th in walks. So does have a bit of a home run issue. Overall, it's worked out pretty well for him, though. 3.89 earned run average puts him 7th, which is pretty solid for Scott Sanderson. But this week, it was just a little bit of a rough patch for him. Both his FIP and his earned run average went way up this week for Scott Sanderson. At number 10, Doyle Alexander, your 8th most used all-time pitcher in the format. Low stuff, low movement, very high control. 5 pitches, including a knuckle curve, which we know even a kind of thrown in there knuckle curve can affect a pitcher's ability. All-time grades 13th, so 14th and FIP, 12th in earned run average all-time, so a little bit lower than what he did this week. Really pitched well this week with a 3.83 earned run average and a 4.12 FIP for Doyle Alexander. Again, 5 pitches. He's not a guy that I would expect to see used in relief too much, and he doesn't get used in relief very much. But, pitched well this week and a little bit better than his all-time stuff. Although his FIP is right in line with his all-time stuff. Lower in strikeouts, 11th in strikeouts, 14th in home runs, so a little bit of a home run issue. But number 1, he's your number 1 control pitcher in the format. Number 9 is Teddy Higuera. He's a bronze card. And so very good versus lefties. 71, 54, 68 versus lefties. 65, 49, 66 versus righties. 83% start percentage this week. He's got a 77 all-time. Not very good there. Kind of mediocre here. 4.92 earned run average. Very good at home run suppression. What are we looking at for lefties? So mostly left-handed or switch hitting batters. And so interesting. Pretty huge splits here for Higuera. I'm surprised to see him. No, I'm not surprised to see him getting used so much because it wasn't used very much. Pretty small sample size for Higuera over this week. Puts him at number 9. Really way more strikeouts than I would have, way higher in strikeouts than I would have expected. Yeah, I've never had luck. I don't even like using Higuera in bronze. So, in just 3 pitches. Number 8 is Bob Welch, also not on the top 10 used list. Number 1 in earned run average this week, though. Number 9 in FIP. Number 3 in strikeouts. Top 10 in home runs. A little bit of an issue with walks. 15th in walks per 9 innings. Second all-time in earned run average at 3.4 over a pretty small 257 inning sample size for Bob Welch. What does he do? Little bit of a split versus lefties, but not too much. Solid stamina. 5 pitches. 2 of them are kind of not very good, and the other 3 are kind of okay. Slightly above average. But he does pitch well against lefties and righties, so he doesn't have very much of a split here. He's an over-the-top neutral finesse pitcher. Is this a number that we think he can keep up all time or with a bigger sample size? I just don't know. I like the no splits. I like that he pitches well against everybody, so we'll keep an eye on him. I might try to throw him into the rotation. Number 7 is Randy Tomlin, your 4th most used all time. You can see here right away we got splits here, so 6 points of stuff, 7 points of movement, 2 points of control, and just 4 pitches. The forkball is helpful. It's a little bit different pitch than a lot of other pitchers have, so that's a little bit helpful. 5th in ERA all time, 4th in FIP all time. This week they were inflated a little bit at 4.25 and 4.01. About half his performances are as a starter, about half of them are as a reliever, which is a little interesting to me. It looks like people see the versus lefty split and want to try to use him as a specialist or something like that. Also, just 3 good pitches for him. That curveball is kind of scary. But there you go. Randy Tomlin comes in at number 7. Number 6 is Steve Avery. I like it. 92 Braves snapshot. 67 movement, 65 movement versus righties. Not any splits to speak of. Good stamina, good hold runners. Outstanding changeup. Good sinker. Fastball. Curveball. Which puts him at number 6. 410 earned run average, 395 FIP over this period. All time, pretty close to right in line with that. 4 earned run average, 4.11 FIP. His counting stats are not great. 5 strikeouts per 9 innings, 14th in home runs, and 13th in walks. Outside of the top 10 in all 3 of those categories, ranks 12th all time. Just had a pretty good week this week. 7th in home runs, 8th in walks. The strikeouts are still not really a thing for him, but he finished 8th and 6th this week in earned run average and FIP. All time his whip is 5th though. Interesting. That's really strange to me. For Steve Avery. Number 5, Kelly Downs, your 2nd most used all time. 3.83 FIP, 3.95 earned run average. All time he's a 401 FIP and a 403 earned run average. Close to the top 5 in strikeouts, one of the few guys in the format over 6 this period, 9th in home runs and 7th in walks per 9 innings. I think Kelly Downs is a little bit of a relic from the Open Silver format as well, but it's the same. I mean, the format's the same, so it stands to reason he should work well too. A lot of starts for him, 95% start percentage, 82 curveball, good fastball, good changeup. The hold runners is a little bit low for Kelly Downs. All-time, he ranks 6th. Number 4, Dana Kicker, Boston Red Sox, 1990. High movement. Number 3, home run suppression. Number 4, all-time. Good movement for him. Fastball, sinker, curveball mix. 65% start percentage for him over this period. 60 stuff, 77 movement, 61 control against lefties. 64, 82, 62 versus righties. For Dana Kicker, 71 stamina, 88 hold. He comes in at number 4, 5th most used all time. Number 3, Neil Heaton, not even on your list. 107 innings pitched, ranks 3rd in FIP, 7th in earned run average. Now, let's look at the other side. Number 1 in FIP, number 4 in earned run average all time over 341 innings pitched. That's about, a season and a half of games there. I don't know that that holds up all time, but he is pretty good at home run suppression, pretty good at walk avoidance. Not going to strike too many guys out, but it's not awful there. What happened this week? Actually, his home runs were higher than his all-time number this week. The walks came down just a little bit, so if he's not walking guys, he's going to pitch well for you. 3.69 all-time FIP with a 3.59 all-time earned run average for Neil Heaton. Solid numbers there in an admittedly small sample size. You're also seeing some relief pitching in there. Only an 80% start percentage for him, so keep that in mind. Number 2, Oil Can Boyd. What? 303 innings pitched, 88% start percentage, grades 5th all-time. But this week, 3.5 FIP, 3.67 earned run average for him. Fastball, curveball, slider, changeup mix. Really solid control. But 12th in walks per 9 innings. That's interesting. 77 control versus lefties, 78 versus righties. Top 10 in strikeouts. Number 2 in home run suppression, which doesn't look right to me either. That's weird. Really solid week for Oil Can Boyd. Really outpitched his home runs per 9 innings this week, though, with just .44. The walks were inflated. Interesting week for him. Normally a 399, 347 earned run average all time for Boyd in 303 innings pitched. We've seen Sanderson, Downs, Ruthven, Tomlin, Kicker. We haven't seen Cox yet. I don't think we've seen Moose Haas or Ed Correa yet either. Just look at a dead ball roster, and so many have names like this. Yeah, he's got Oil Can's one of my favorite names of all time. He pitched for a really long time. He was still pitching in amateur leagues just a few years ago, if I'm not mistaken. You still hear his name. Just really cool guy too. If I remember, from the mid '80s, really solid pitcher for the Red Sox back then. Number 1 starting pitcher in your silver defense tournaments for this week was Louis Aquino. 98 innings pitched. Yuck. Number 1 in FIP at 3.34, 3.66 earned run average ranks him number 1 in that. Very, very good home run suppression numbers this week. 0.27. All time he ranks 7th. 4 earned run average. 406 FIP. 0.82 home runs per 9 innings. 3rd in walks. 1.56. Not going to strike anybody out. Really low stuff, which I think probably scares a lot of people away. The high movement, high control is an interesting combination to me. 74 stamina, 54 fastball, 51 slider. I don't know. I really think... I don't know that Sanderson is far and away my number 1 selection, but I think he's probably up there. I do like Tomlin. I do like Downs. Let's see. Boyd looks kind of interesting to me, but again, that might be all my time in iron and bronze kind of rubbing off on me. I don't know. What is going on with Louis Aquino? Again, 7th all time, so it was just a really good small sample size for him this week, but it was all as a starter too. So he might be a guy who struggles a little bit as a relief pitcher, perhaps. Oil Can, yeah, he was skinny. Probably you running Aquino. Ichiro has you watching a bit. Yeah, they were good. Dawson was good too. Agreed. Vlad was a solid arm. I'm not that old that I remember guys from like the 70s and 60s. Thankfully, I'm getting there. I mean, I'll never remember the guys from the 70s and the 60s, but I'm getting to the point where those are the decades that are that far away that I'll remember. Aquino, interesting. This is pretty interesting. You better have a good defense behind you. He is not going to, if he has a low batting average on balls in play, he's probably going to pitch really well. So if you're running a really, really good defensive team, I can see Aquino being an effective pitcher. If you're running, you're probably going to want Ozzy Smith at shortstop. You're probably going to want Kirby Puckett in center field, like somebody really good defensively. He's a neutral finesse pitcher, so you're going to want good defense everywhere. But I could see Aquino being good. It's going to be a lot of weak contact, but a lot of balls in play. Aquino comes in at number 1. You do. Slinky does have good defense. So Slinky says it's probably mostly him. I might try him out with Puckett in center field and Ozzy at shortstop. We'll see. Relief pitchers, Les Lancaster is the third most used. Comes in number 15 this week. 385 FIP, 391 earned run average to go along with not a lot of strikeouts at just 5 out of 25 current qualifiers, 27 all-time qualifiers. He's 22nd in strikeouts and 26th all-time. He does rank number 10, so he's a little higher than this all-time. He's another kind of, similar in that vein to Aquino. Going to have a lot of balls in play with this guy, so you better have good defense behind him. I'm really surprised to see him struggle this much in home run suppression. We'll see what the rest of the guys on the list look like, but with a movement of 72 and 88 versus righties, I'm a little surprised to see his home run suppression numbers be that bad. Number 14 is Zane Smith, who's 12th in home run suppression, 10th in strikeouts, even with that solid stuff and movement versus left-handed batters. He's a specialist, guys. This is huge splits versus left-handed pitching here. 46 control, only 50 innings pitched, 14th. He grades 7th all-time over 223 innings pitched, though. So at a 363 FIP and a 359 earned run average. 398, 429 over this period was a little bit higher. Everything kind of outside the top 10. I don't know that he's a top choice for relief pitching in this format. Does get some starting pitching too, so keep that in mind. I don't know that I'd start him with splits like that, though. Number 13, he is one of the few left-handed pitchers that we've seen. Number 13 is Bob Stanley. He's a right-handed pitcher. Splits versus righties, not huge, but enough that, something to keep in mind, maybe as a specialist. Sinker, changeup, slider. Screwball is going to help Bob Stanley out a little bit. He does rank 4th all-time, struggled over the course of this week, though. 13th in FIP and 12th in earned run average. Still pretty good control, 1.63 walks per 9 innings, 4.59 strikeouts, and 10th, top 10 in home runs per 9 innings. All-time, 357 FIP has him 6th. 366 earned run average puts him top 10. With good home run suppression, good walks. I think I'm overweighting walks still because he probably shouldn't be 4th with numbers like this. Number 12 is Alejandro Pena. High stuff, low movement, high control guy. Fastball, curveball, forkball, slider, changeup. 358 FIP, 261 earned run average has him 2nd over this reporting period. He does rank 6th all time with a 356 FIP and a 342 earned run average in a top 5 whip. Alejandro Pena is your 6th most used pitcher out of the relief pitchers. He comes in at number 12, 358 FIP, right in line with his all time. Really seriously good earned run average this reporting period, though. Number 10 is Dwayne Weiss. Huge stuff. Number 1 in strikeouts per 9 innings. 11th in FIP. 8th in earned run average. He ranks number 2 all time in 248 innings pitched. So 3.39 FIP, 3.33 earned run average for him over 248 innings pitched. Will let up some home runs. 0.76 home runs per 9 innings puts him 18th. But solid control, which is a little interesting after seeing some of the guys like Bob Stanley be at 1.4. Well, not so much Bob Stanley, but like Lancaster with a 79 at 1.95. We're seeing, where'd we go? Weiss at 2.17, still top 10. Lots of walks from these relief pitchers. Number 1 in strikeouts per 9 innings. Number 2 all time. Seriously good numbers all time for Dwayne Weiss out of the California Angels in 1987. Moving on to the top 10. Number 10 is Woody Fryman. No surprise to see him on the list. He's been a consistent performer. Struggled a little bit. He does rank 9th all time among relief pitchers, but this week it was a 3.44 FIP and a 2.86 earned run average. We might see some pretty good performances this week from some of these guys. 3rd in earned run average for Fryman, 7th all time. Fryman has been a consistent performer and gets a ton of appearances. Fastball, changeup, slider combination with good movement, good control, good stuff as well. Woody Fryman has been a mainstay in silver formats since we started doing these. Number 9 is Gary Lucas, your 4th most used guy. High movement, good control. To go along with okay stuff, leans towards lefties. He is a left-handed pitcher. You're looking at a specialist here. He did have a start thrown in there. Number 3 all-time in FIP. This week it was number 9, 4.13 earned run average. Looks like there was some offensive suppression this week from some of these pitchers, as he is 7.07 ahead of his all-time FIP, but just 9th this week. Interesting. Although the earned run average looks weird. Some weird kind of rankings. At number 8 is Rich Bordy at number 8. 3.14 earned run average all time, has him 3rd. This week was number 1 in earned run average and number 6 in FIP. Number 1 in walks as well. Number 1 in whip. Rich Bordy, over 80 innings pitched, was absolutely lights out here over this reporting period. A little bit of a home run issue, but actually below his all-time. He does rank 20th all-time, so I would be wary of the small sample size on Rich Bordy here. Does have pretty big splits versus righties as well. Number 7 is Jim Acker, number 10 most used all-time. 81, 89 control, pretty solid control, pretty good movement and stuff versus righties. Another kind of specialist pitcher. And in this format with heavy lefties, it's, loses a little bit of his value. I think he's a little bit better in an open silver format. 7th, though, in FIP, 6th in earned run average, puts him at number 7. All-time, he ranks number 5. But again, you're looking at kind of a specialist. 357, 354 earned run average all-time for Jim Acker. Number 6 is Eric Show. What? We got a bronze pitcher in here. High stuff. Okay movement. Really low control. This week, number 2 in strikeouts. He was 9th in earned run average, 8th in FIP, and 13th in whip this week. Puts him at number 6. Good home run suppression for this week, but that was like half of what we see from him normally. All time, he ranks number 21. I would probably try to stay away from him. Number 5 is Ray Searage. Really high stuff, really good movement, pretty good control. Ranked 2nd in FIP. 7th in earned run average this week, over 62 innings pitched. Now, here's a guy we can talk about that might be interesting. 7th in strikeouts and 6th in home runs. All right, let's talk about all time. Ray Searage, number 1 in FIP all time, number 2 in earned run average all time, 4th in strikeouts and 6th in home runs. The control is a little bit of an issue, but when you're suppressing home runs, it becomes a little bit less of an issue. And if you have good defense behind you, goodness gracious, these numbers over 262 innings pitched are interesting. Control is definitely a concern, but he has really no splits, can throw versus lefties and versus righties. Fastball, curveball, changeup combination. Left-handed pitcher. Interesting. In a format where there's not a lot of left-handed pitchers. Interesting. Interesting indeed. Number 4, Danny Darwin. Pitches well versus righties. 4th and 5th this week. 17th in earned run average, though, at 4.52. All-time ranks number 18th. That FIP is 1.3 points better than his earned run average. That's not good. 0.29 home runs. Well, there you go. Only 0.2. Really suppressing the home runs over 92 innings this week. Over 400 innings. 0.68 home runs puts him 13th, 19th in earned run average, and 18th in FIP all time. For Danny Darwin, I don't think he is necessarily someone you want to put in, but he pitched really well this week with a 3.22 FIP. Number 3 is Frank Williams. Didn't allow a single home run in 41 innings pitched. All time, he ranks 19th, though. Ugh. 3.87 earned run average and FIP all time. Doesn't, strikeouts, 7th, 4th in home run suppression. The whip is ugly. The walks are really, really bad. 27th out of 27 in walks at 4.13. But this week was just 3.73. Again, no home runs over 41 innings. That's kind of crazy. Really good home run suppression for him. The FIP and the earned run average were good this week, but all time not looking that good. Number 2 is Ben McDonald, who's your 8th most used all time. Again, the relief pitchers, once we get high on the list, we start seeing some of those really small sample size things. And this week for Ben McDonald, it was one of those. 20% start percentage for him. All time, he's a guy that might benefit from being a relief pitcher. Bice did a Don Adams impression. 293 earned run average this week, 319 FIP this week, 1.106 whip. With 3 good pitches and a changeup thrown in, McDonald might be a guy that benefits from, less starting pitching and more as a relief pitcher. You can see his numbers inflate pretty badly as a 45% start percentage guy. And we've got earned run average at 3.75 and again a FIP at 4.02 all time. None of those numbers are good, but small sample size with less starting pitching, he looks a little bit better. So I might need to try him out as a relief pitcher. At number 1, God, these relief pitching lists always make me hate myself. Number 1, Ken Daly comes in at number 1 this week, 13th all time. This week it was a 289 earned run average and a 288 FIP for him. Just 0.13 home runs per 9 innings. What is going on with some of these guys? 6th in strikeouts per 9 at 7.28. Never looked at this format before. Won the first game 8-5. Congratulations. Hopefully it helps you out. And so Ken Daly, 289, 288, all time, 315, 366. Let's check some of the guys up above 15 because we saw Stanley. We definitely saw Fryman on the list. We saw Lancaster, Lucas, Pena, Darwin. I don't think we saw Holton. It is what it is. Who are we missing? Holton is number 19 and 15th all time. Really struggled this week. And I think that's the only guy that wasn't in the top. Well, Danny Cox was 3rd most used this week. I might have put him on my team. Did not pitch well this week. All time is a starting pitcher. So an interesting split there for Danny Cox. Let's see, does he pitch better? Looks like he pitches a little bit better as a starter, perhaps. Tom Browning, Tom Seaver, Bruce Sutter. Not good in this format. Good in bronze. A little bit more power here. So those bronze pitchers, I think. So there's bronze hitters that you can bring up that play well, and especially like the defensive guys like the Ozzy Smith can come up and play well. I think it's a lot harder for the bronze pitchers to come up to this level and play well because there's a little bit more power here at silver. So you can see the iron pitchers move up to bronze and play well in bronze because it's kind of a similar power structure in the format. But once you get up to silver, those bronze pitchers really struggle. Slinky runs the defense tournaments almost exclusively. Low maintenance, set it and forget it. Yeah, that's one of the nice things about the format too is, and you're not getting days off because they're all 3-game series. So those are your lists, guys. How did you like them? Did you enjoy it? Did you have fun? Did you like the list? I'm going to run something real quick. I'm not going to do this every week on this. That was quick. Hey, Sunshine. Leaving? Love you. Have a great day.
You too.
I'll see you when I pick you up.
Hi, stream viewers. I understand that he streams boring stuff.
You can ignore her. She's 13.
No.
Love you. I'm glad hopefully you guys enjoyed it. What does the defense tournament mean? So it's really just the era. It's 1980 to 1992. I can bring it up again just to show you what that means. So it doesn't actually change. It actually runs off of modern format. So if we go here, it actually runs off of modern era strategy and settings. It's the players from 1980 to 1992. And then it's a 3-game series with a designated hitter. So those are the things to keep in mind on the silver defense format. So I know you guys are here for the tournament stats. We got through them. It was fun, and I enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed the list. I am going to do something real quick. We're going to we'll stay on stream for another hour. How about that? I am running right now on my stream. I do it Monday through Friday, a alternate baseball history. So I posted a little bit about it on the Out of the Park on the Discord. And so just to kind of give you guys an idea, we ran the first week yesterday. What is it? We're starting in 1900. 1900 financials, 1976 statistics is what I'm using. I'm not real happy with them. That might change. I am seeing way too many strikeouts from these guys. It's just too much. So I might adjust the strikeouts a little bit. But what I'm doing on my stream is I'm trying to get through 3 weeks every stream. I real-time sim at about a factor of 60 is the plan. I'm not going to do that today. And I just pick a game of the week and we sim out a game of the week. So this is kind of what you're looking at for it right now. Really cool mix of players in this league right now. Let's go to the league stats just to give you an idea of who we're seeing. Random debut, players from all time. So we have all sorts of weird stuff going on. For instance, it's 1900. Wilson Contreras has 5 home runs through the first week of the season. Not what I expected from Wilson Contreras in the first week of this league. We just did the draft yesterday, so it's literally right at the start of it. Let's see, what else do we have? So other guys that we've got like Cap Anson's playing. He's leading the league in runs right now. Huey Jennings is a player in this league. Pitching wise, we're seeing anything from Bob Feller to I think Matt Andriese is in here. Who else do we have? Mike Norris is pitching in here. Lefty Groves, one of the pitchers. So basically what I do is I go in and each week we look at the standings and I pick a game of the week. So for this week, and we don't need you. And so here's what we do. We go through and we just plug in how many wins each team has. And I will do that real quick. So hopefully this won't take too long. You won't get too bored watching me plug numbers into the spreadsheet. Chicago's at 3. Cleveland is at, and this is on top of my streams for my online leagues as well. Detroit is at 5. LA is at 4. Louisville is at 2. Milwaukee 6. New Orleans. So the locations are all cities that were in the top 30 metropolitan areas back in 1900. And so the names are all named after something like the animal, bird, tree, or whatever, something that sounded silly. So what I'm kind of wanting to do with this league as we go forward with it, I'd like to get through a season every 2 to 2.5 weeks is the goal. And what I want for community involvement, if you guys are interested, Philadelphia is at 3, is to have you guys come over to the stream and help with like team name updates. So at the end of the season, I might do a team name, team relocation after, if we get through like 10 seasons, which would be like July, based off of what I'm looking at for getting through stuff, is to do like an expansion draft at some point, maybe expand the league, and then kind of keep going through this all time. So what that does by plugging in the things, it gives me a series of the week. And the previous week, I'm trying to remember what teams were in it. I know it was Omaha versus St. Louis was one of the games we did last week. So what I end up with is like Baltimore versus San Francisco would be the game of the week this week. And then I go into the schedule to check that series out, which is going to be our late season series, San Francisco, Baltimore. And then I just pick like the best pitching matchup between the two teams. So we've got Jack Stivetts against Bob Feller. That's a pretty solid pitching matchup, but I've already seen both of those pitchers on stream yesterday, so I don't know if I want to do that one today. The other matchups that we have are Bankhead against Glasner. So we've got Whitey Glasner, 25 years old, 4.5 star pitcher with a 394 earned run average right now, against Scott Bankhead, who's a 3.5, 3.5. And then the other game between these two teams would have been Frank Larry against Hank O'Day. So obviously the best pitching matchup here is Stivets against Feller. We may as well go with it, right? I guess we may as well go with it. So we're going to go ahead and set the sim to go up to, where is it? What day is it on? The 11th. So we'll set the sim to go to the 10th. So it's going to sim through tomorrow. We're going to set it to a factor of, we'll go 60 just to see how it goes for now. And then we can kind of go through the league while the games are playing out and we follow along with the updates. So league news, there haven't really been any trades yet. If we go to the homepage and we have transactions, it's been a lot of releasing players, but there haven't been too many trades yet. In fact, there's not any. I do have injuries set to low. I might change that too, depending on if we start seeing a few more injuries for teams to deal with. But it's been fun so far. And I'm gonna get us through one game. We'll do some play-by-play. You guys can kind of see what it's about, and then we'll finish up the stream for today. Again, I said the strikeout numbers are silly. In 2 starts, Jack Stivets has 31 strikeouts. I'm probably going to adjust the strikeout numbers pretty soon if those numbers don't change just a little bit. So what are the teams we have here? We have the Milwaukee Badgers, the Cleveland Racers, because it was their city reptile, the Detroit Robins, the Boston Chickadees, the Philadelphia Fireflies, the Chicago Salamanders, the New York Beavers, and the Providence Harbor Seals. Baltimore's so boring, it's just the Orioles. San Francisco Gatekeepers, Denver Bighorns, New Orleans Pelicans, St. Louis Bluebirds, Los Angeles Grizzlies, Omaha Bison, and Louisville Squirrels are our teams. Johnny Balls, good to see you, man. I haven't seen you in forever. How you been? We see some hitting streaks. John Clapp has hit in every game to start the season for Detroit so far. And the fun thing about this is that if I just go like this, the standings update in real time. And we can watch the live scores play out. We can hop into a webcast if we want to watch games a little bit more in depth. It goes a little bit fast for that at 60. I tend to just kind of watch this at 60. So right now we've got one game going on. Of course, there's an early game and a bunch of late games. So it'll take forever for today to go by. Detroit and Cleveland at 4-4, heading into the 8th inning in the 2 o'clock game. We got Robinson singles, Detroit trying to take the lead. Machado Spratt strikes out to end the inning. Still 4-4, heading into the bottom of the 8th. Let's get through this day quick. And so that's kind of what my stream would be like. I don't want to take up a whole bunch of you guys' time watching the sim today because, you know, that's not, you guys are mostly here for the tournament stats, and so I don't want to tie you up for all day. They're heading to 10 innings here in Cleveland. 11 innings. These teams are 6-2 for Cleveland and 5-3 for Detroit. So this is a pretty big battle. This is an important early season game in the Northern League, heading into the 12th, into the 13th. And these teams don't have huge bullpens. They tend to be running pretty small bullpens too, just because of the 1976 stats. So there it is. Detroit beats Cleveland 5-4 with a 13th inning run. I didn't see how it was scored. Let's finish today, and let's finish tomorrow and get into our game. Let's see. We're going to the 11th, and we're looking for, who was it? San Francisco, Baltimore, right? Solid looking matchup here. San Francisco 8-2, Baltimore 7-3. I am going to set the sim to run up until that because otherwise we don't get the real-time scores and stuff. So let's set it to a factor of 60 and start it up. Today. So it'll take a couple minutes to get there. We'll set it to 120 actually. The game we're looking for starts at 7:05, so that'll take 2.5 minutes or so. Let's check out Baltimore's roster while we're doing that. So Baltimore's got Joe Kelly in center field, Dennis Menke at shortstop, Tito Francona playing left field, George Altman playing right field, Tony Pyatt playing second base, Frank Catalanato at first base, John Romano at catcher, and Scott Cooper at third base. The San Francisco team, and I watched both of these teams yesterday. It's Julio Franco at short, Bobby W. Brown at third base, Charlie Blackmon in left field, Cody Bellinger in center field, Mike Epstein at first base, Derek Dietrich at second base, John Ellis catching, and Rob Makoviak playing right field. So the other thing that I do as the stuff comes in is I go through and I track the stats. So we're gonna have we'll have a tracker as the season goes along to track who performs best on the big stage. So we're just tracking the games of the week and the stats throughout the games of the week. So that'll be something that we get to do. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and do this and get rid of our ticker here. Not that ticker. We're going to get rid of, where's my ticker? Where are we at? We're at 4 o'clock. We'll get rid of that ticker. So that, and the follower. Let's get rid of that. No, we'll get rid of that. We'll get rid of that. And we'll get rid of that. I don't think I'm allowed to have those on screen. So you can see the ticker as we go through. And it updates, not in real time necessarily, but I'll update this sheet at the end of each game. Can you see that? Is that like readable? Or do I need to do something with that? You guys are my test bed. Your Diamond team has now lost 15 consecutive games. Ouch. We're up to 5 o'clock. Let's check out our live scores. The only game that was on is over. And so we can speed this up a little bit. Milwaukee beat Detroit. We'll speed up to 300. That gives us 6 o'clock. Let's pause it right about, we'll pause it at like 6:50. Pause it right there, right now. And let's set it to back to a factor of, we'll call it 40. And then we'll just wait till this game starts. It'll be a couple seconds. Let's see. EVC says, Silver Defense Series, Baniquez homered in both games, hitting as a designated hitter. I like it. I hope some of those stats work out for you guys, because it's fun for me to do that. It's a lot of work to get those stats out. So we're going to pause it right there. Let's go to real time. No, we don't want to do that. We'll go factor of 10. Goodness, that would have taken a while. 7:04, 55. Here we go. The game starts right now. We're going to watch the game. Julio Franco batting against Feller. I want to change my camera. So we're going to go to default. Let's see what that looks like. We had some issues with the camera switching and people not being able to follow balls yesterday. So we're just going to go with this camera. I was using the behind the pitcher camera for the pitches, but the ball tracking was a little bit of a pain. Right now I go play by play. Playoffs, maybe do pitch by pitch. So we'll see. In this game, Bob Feller is going to face Julio Franco, who has 33 at-bats versus right hand. Oh, they've given me good stats down here. 2 home runs for Franco. Franco's 361 with 2 home runs and 8 runs batted in coming into the game. Also 2 steals. He was a pretty good player in our first player game of the week last week. And so he'll face a 2-2 pitch from Feller and swing and miss at strike 3. That's a little far away, isn't it? Let's see. Initial camera view. I don't know that we're going to get a better camera than that. Wide camera, maybe this one. I like that camera better, actually. Let's just go like that. And action view is going to be the wide camera. What's home plate camera look like? Looks like, nope, we're not going with that one. We'll just go with this. All right, Feller will now face Bobby Brown. Brown has a 276 batting average. 250 average with 16 at-bats with the bases empty so far this season. He'll see a 1-2 pitch from Feller, and Feller has struck out the first 2 batters of the game. Feller has a lot of strikeouts too. He's now up to 34 on the season. Charlie Blackmon will bat next. Struggling so far, 205. Just 1 home run and 2 RBIs for Charlie Blackmon. He'll see a 2-2 pitch. and swing and miss at strike 3. A 1-2-3 inning for Bob Feller, striking out the side. He did struggle with walks his last outing. If you see, you'll see him scroll up the screen. He walked 7 guys his last outing. So Stivetts has a .411 earned run average, allowed 14 hits in 15 innings and 7 earned runs, but has struck out 31 batters. It will face top of the order Joe Kelly, Dennis Menke, and Tito Francona, who has started the season hot. Stivetts, the 2-2 pitch to Joe Kelly. Swung on and missed, strike 3. 4 strikeouts so far in this game to 4 batters. It'll be Dennis Menke batting next. He'll see a full count. The 3-2 pitch is taken for ball 4. The first base runner is Dennis Menke. Here in the bottom of the first. Tito Francona, 370, 3 home runs and 12 RBIs to start the season off. And the 2-2 pitch to him is the first ball in play. It's a ground ball to second. Should be 2. And it is a 4-6-3 double play. Dietrich to Franco to first base to end the inning. I have not memorized names yet. It'll be Bellinger, Epstein, and Dietrich here in the top of the second for San Francisco. The 1-0 pitch. Bellinger puts it in play over the second baseman, but caught by Puckett for out number 1. Feller pitching to Epstein now. Mike Epstein has 3 home runs and 4 RBIs on the season. The 1-2 pitch swung on and missed for strike 3. Strikeout number 4 on the game for Feller. And he'll face Dietrich, who has been cold to start the season. 189 batting average. The 2-2 pitch to him. Taken on the corner for strike 3. Bob Feller has 5 strikeouts through 2 innings. I have got to turn the strikeouts down. It'll be Altman, Puckett, and Catalinato here in the bottom of the second. The 0-2 pitch from Stivetts to Altman. Swung on a hit into right field down the line. Coming over is the right fielder. He will not get there. It's a home run for Altman. 1-0 lead for Baltimore here in the bottom of the second. 370 feet for Altman. That was his 3rd home run of the season and his 10th run batted in. Stivetts lets up the run here in the second on the first hit of the game. It'll now be Tony Puckett, the 297 hitter. The 0-2 pitch. Swung on and missed for strike 3. Second strikeout of the game for Stivetts as Catalinato will bat next. Just 222 on the season. The 1-0 pitch to Catalinato. It's hitting the air to left. Should be a can of corn. Under it is Blackman for out number 2. And the next batter will be Romano, who is batting 182 on the season. And he'll run the count full against Stivetts. Rope to third. Up with it, the third baseman, and on to first for out number 3. Brown makes the play. 1-0 lead the Orioles take here in the bottom of the second inning. We move on to the third inning. It will be Ellis, Makoviak, and Stivetts here in the third to face Bob Feller, who is on fire to start this game. 6 batters up, 5 strikeouts. The 2-1 pitch to Ellis is hitting to shallow left over the head of the second baseman for the first hit of the game for San Francisco. Leadoff single. That'll bring up Makoviak, just 233 on the season so far. He'll see a 3-0 pitch from Feller. Taken for ball 4. Feller has had walk issues this season. He has walked 11 guys now on the season. Suspect we're going to see a sacrifice bunt here from Jack Stivetts. We do not. It's a ground ball to third. No play at second or third. Runners at second and third. 2 runners in scoring position with 1 out for San Francisco. The 1-2 pitch. Swung on and missed for strike 3. Feller with his 6th strikeout. That was a big one here in the top of the third to Julio Franco. It'll be up to Bobby Brown to keep it going. He, of course, struck out in his first at bat. He'll see an 0-1 pitch. Hit it back up the middle. On to first. Mankey makes the play for out number 3 after 2.5. Remains 1-0. Baltimore. Gorgo's got to go. Sorry, Gorgo. Good luck. Thanks for hanging out. We move to the bottom of the 3rd. It'll be Cooper, the pitching spot, Bob Feller, and then Joe Kelly here in the bottom of the 3rd. The 2-2 pitch swung on and popped up on the infield. Stivetts covering first, caught by the first baseman. Epstein makes the play for out number 1. Feller will bat next. He'll see a run the count full against Stivetts and swing and miss at strike 3. That's strikeout number 3 on the game for Stivetts. And the 1-2 pitch to the top of the order swung on and missed for strike 3. That's the second strikeout for Kelly today. Blackman, Bellinger, Epstein. Blackman trying to avoid his batting average going below 200 here. Facing a tough pitcher. Feller runs the count full. The 3-2 pitch swung on and missed for strike 3. Blackman with his second strikeout of the game. Feller with his 7th. Bellinger batting next. The 2-2 pitch to him is hit to the first baseman. Booted by Catalanato. That's an error. It's a 1-out base runner for San Francisco here in the top of the 4th. We'll see if Feller can pitch around the error. He's going to have to get Epstein and Dietrich. The 0-2 pitch to Epstein, swung on and missed. Strikeout number 8. We could see records broken today, folks. Feller already at 8 strikeouts here in the 4th. Dietrich will bat next. He'll see a 1-2 pitch, and he will swing and miss. Bob Feller at 9 strikeouts through 4 innings, maintaining the 1-0 lead. Mankey, Francona, Altman, here in the bottom of the 4th. Out of town scores. Louisville's beating Omaha 2-1. Mankey will see a 1-2 pitch from Stivetts, and he'll swing and miss. Another strikeout. Mankey chases a fastball out of the zone. Up next is Francona. 3-1 pitch to him. Outside for ball 4. 1 out. Runner on first. Altman will bat next. The 1-2 pitch to him. Hit in the air to right. That one's going to get down into the corner for extra bases. Throw comes in. Altman, who had the home run in the first inning, or in the second inning, I should say, now has a double. Home run and a double on the game for Altman, and it's only the 4th inning. Pyatt and Catalanato will bat next with runners in the scoring position. The 1-2 pitch from Stivetts is in the air to center field. Runners are tagging. The throw to the plate will be not in time, and Baltimore takes a 2-0 lead here in the bottom of the 4th inning. Catalanato will bat now against Stivetts with 2 outs. He'll see an 0-2 pitch. And that one's laced into left field between short and third. And that gives Baltimore a 3-0 lead against San Francisco. For Romano, Stivetts struggling here in the bottom of the 4th. Walks Romano on 4 pitches. Scott Cooper will bat a 300 hitter on the season so far. And he'll take strike 3 right down the middle on an 0-2 pitch. Stivetts now has 6 strikeouts on the game. Not quite matching Feller pitch for pitch. We move to the 5th. Feller will face John Ellis, Rob Makoviak, and Jack Stivetts. The 0-2 pitch to Ellis is taken for strike 3. 10 strikeouts for Feller. Makoviak batting next. He'll see a 3-2 pitch and take ball 4. Will Stivetts bunt now? Let's see. The 1-2 pitch, he will not. And he will swing and miss at strike 3 for number 11. Jeepers. And that'll bring up Julio Franco, who has struck out twice today. And the 1-0 pitch. Franco puts the ball in play. Down the line and right. That one gets into the corner. They send the runner from third. The throw to the plate is not in time. San Francisco with their first run of the game. Makoviak scores all the way from first on a 1-0 pitch, as Julio Franco gets the run-scoring double. That brings up Bobby Brown, 0 for 2 on the game. The 0-1 pitch to him is on the ground to second. That will be out number 3. Easy play for Puckett. We move to the bottom of the 5th. It's 3-1 Baltimore. They will send ace Bob Feller, Joe Kelly, and Dennis Menke to the mound. They're top of their order against Jack Stivetts. Stivetts runs the count full against Feller. The 3-2 pitch is taken for strike 3. Kelly will bat next. He's 0 for 2 today. The 0-2 pitch to Joe Kelly is strike 3. Stivetts with strikeout number 8. And Dennis Menke, 0 for 1 with a walk so far today. The 3-2 pitch to him is on the ground to short. Up with it is Franco. The throw across the diamond to first is out number 3. Menke goes down. 1-2-3 goes Baltimore in the bottom of the 5th. We move on to the 6th inning. Feller will remain on the mound to face Blackman, Bellinger, and Epstein, the middle of the San Francisco order. And the 1-2 pitch is taken on the corner for strike 3. 12 strikeouts for Bob Feller. Cody Bellinger bats next. The 1-2 pitch to him swung on and missed for strike 3. You can see a 20 strikeout game here today. Epstein will bat next. He'll see a 2-2 pitch. And swing and miss at strike 3. Bob Feller, strikeout number 14 through 6 innings. Outstanding performance from Bob Feller so far. Tito Francona, Altman, and Tony Puckett will bat here in the bottom of the 6th. Baltimore trying to get some more insurance. The 2-2 pitch is on the ground to third. Fielded by the third baseman on to first for out number 1. Next up will be George Altman, batting .348 on the season so far. With a single, not a single, with a home run and a double already today. He'll see an 0-1 pitch and hit that one into shallow center field. And that is out number 2 as Bellinger makes the play. And the 2 outs in the bottom of the 6th. Tony Puckett will bat next. .289 batting average on the season. The 3-1 pitch he'll take for ball 4. It's a 2-out walk for Jack Stivetts. Catalinato will bat next. 1 for 2 today with an RBI. The 3-2 pitch to him is taken for strike 3. 6th inning is over. It remains 3-1 in favor of Baltimore. It'll be Dietrich, Ellis, and Makoviak this inning for the San Francisco Gatekeepers. Bob Feller, the count 2-2. Swung on and missed for strike 3. That's 15 strikeouts for Bob Feller. Goodness gracious. Ellis bats next. He'll see a 1-1 pitch and lace it into left field for a 1-out single. Just the 3rd hit of the game for San Francisco. 105 pitches right now for Bob Feller. How much longer will he last? That is the question. Makoviak bats next with Ellis on first. He'll see a 2-2 pitch and hit it in the air into the left center field. That one's going to be caught by Joe Kelly for out number 2. And Jack Stivetts will bat once again. 0 for 2 on the game. Does have an RBI. Does not have an RBI. I thought he drove in a run. Oh well. Feller will pitch, and we'll see a 1-2 pitch. Looking for strikeout number 16, and he'll get it. 16 strikeouts for Bob Feller through 7 innings. Can he reach the magic number of 20? Stivetts pitching to Romano, Cooper, and Feller here in the bottom of the 7th. The 1-2 pitch to Romano is popped up. Shallow right center field. Under it is Bellinger for out number 1. Scott Cooper bats next. One of my favorite players growing up. He'll see a 3-2 pitch, running the count full against Stivetts. Swung on and missed for strike 3. 10 strikeouts. Stivetts in double digits for the 3rd time this season. And Miguel Andujar will pinch hit for Bob Feller. We will not get a chance to see 20 strikeouts today as Andujar pinch hits. And he will swing and hit a line drive into shallow left that falls in front of the left fielder for a 2-out single. 4th hit of the game for Baltimore. Only 7 hits in this game so far. Joe Kelly will bat next. He's currently 0 for 3. Stivet's still in the game. The pitch is taken for ball 4. A single and a walk, and Baltimore in business here in the bottom of the 7th. Dennis Menke will bat next. The 0-2 pitch to him is swung on and missed for strike 3. Stivet's 11th gets him out of the jam. San Francisco needs some runs soon. It'll be the top of their order. Franco, Bobby Brown, and Charlie Blackmon in the top of the 8th, trying to scratch something across against Dick Donovan. 2 saves and 1 blown save so far this year. Donovan strikes out Franco. 3 strikeouts today for Franco. Bobby Brown bats next. He'll take the first pitch down the line, fielded by the first baseman. Catalano makes the play this time, and that's out number 2. 4 outs left for San Francisco. Charlie Blackmon will bat next. The 3-2 pitch to him from Donovan. Swung on and missed for strike 3. They're at 18 strikeouts on the game now for San Francisco. It'll be Tito Francona, George Altman, Tony Pyatt. Stivet's looking for the complete game here. If he can get through the 8th and his team doesn't score, it would be a complete game loss. The 0-2 pitch to Tito. 3 home runs for Baniquez now. Nice. Strikeout number 12 for Stivet. It'll be Altman with 1 out here in the bottom of the 8th. He'll see a 2-2 pitch. And that's strikeout number 13. Stivet's mowing guys down here late in the game. And another strikeout. He strikes out the side. 1, 2, 3. Go the Orioles here in the bottom of the 8th. But their last chance will be Bellinger, Epstein, and Dietrich here in the top of the 9th. They're facing Donovan in his 2nd inning of work. The 2-2 pitch, swung on and missed by Bellinger. That's strikeout number 19 for the San Francisco hitters. Epstein will bat next. The 3-2 pitch to him is taken for strike 3. Right at the knees. Dietrich is their last chance. 2 outs, 1-2 pitch. Here in the 9th, that is 21 strikeouts on the game for San Francisco hitters, and the game is over. Baltimore beats San Francisco 3-1 behind a strong pitching performance from Bob Feller. 7 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 run, 2 walks, 16 strikeouts for Feller. How do you tweak the K rate? So, yeah, we'll do that in just a second. I'm going to have to figure that out because that is just too much. It's just too much. So you go into game settings, and I got to finish the real-time sim. So let's go back to play today, and we'll just finish today. Updated standings in the league. Baltimore now 8-3. San Francisco 8-3. Atop the Southern League. Milwaukee at 9-2. Atop the Northern League. In game, you go to game settings. It's under league settings, stats and AI, and you can adjust it here. So modifiers, auto calculation is only available during the preseason or spring training, disabled prior to the draft. And so I'm going to drop this down to lower than that. That should cut it by a bit. So we'll keep our eye on that as we go forward. But that is my league. I'm going to go ahead and finish the stream now. Let's check on... Well, I'm going to have to log off and log back on to do that, to see where the decimals stand. I'm going to play out that week, but we'll be back tomorrow, noon Central Standard Time, to do some more of the alternate baseball history. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I try to do 3 games per day as we get through, which, like I said, should get us through a season in about 2.5 weeks' time, depending on where depending on days I have to take off and whatnot for doctor's appointments and stuff like that. But it's fun. I enjoy it, and I would really love to get you guys' feedback and you guys' help with the league and stuff like that. The decimal is 23-11 right now. We got 5 packs. Let's close it out with 5 packs and see if anything good happens. Nothing good in pack 1. Josh Bell, Julio Urias. I wouldn't be surprised to see him up in gold this season. But yeah, like I said, hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the lists. If you have feedback, hit me up on Discord. And for bottom of the 6th, I will read your whisper here in just a second and figure out who I need to contact for that. 2 live and 1 historical gold from today's drops. I got nothing. Nothing. Our packs were not good today. I guess I can't complain, considering that David Price has dropped a .56 earned run average on us, and we got him in a pack not too long ago. So we'll see how the rest of the week goes. Guys, I'll be on tomorrow morning to do the OHBL. We're doing August Players of the Month, Minor League Players of the Month, 9 o'clock Central Time tomorrow morning. Noon tomorrow, I will be on my stream doing week number 3, 4, and 5 of the alternate baseball history. We'll have updated stats and stuff for you. I love the stats. I love this ticker's fun. I think I'm going to enjoy it a lot. So hopefully you guys will stop by tomorrow. If you can't, no problem. Don't feel like I'm pressuring you. I know I'll stop now. All right, guys, thanks. And again, feedback, questions, I'm pretty responsive over in Discord. So, and I'm hoping to be more in the tournament and perfect team Discord channel going forward now that the spreadsheets kind of run themselves and I'm not spending 40 hours a week fixing them. So you guys have a great afternoon. First perfect in the drop today. Congratulations. What'd you get? Was it a good one? I drive long. We're going to wait and find out. Edwin Diaz, ew. Sell that for 20 more packs. Or use it to complete a collection or something. Otherwise, guys, have a great afternoon. I'll see you all next week, worst case, or tomorrow morning, or tomorrow afternoon. So feel free to drop by. And again, message me on Discord if you have questions. If I don't have the information, I can find it. I'll do my best to find it for you. So you guys have a fantastic night. I appreciate you guys all hanging out with me, and I appreciate all of you guys' support. You guys are a really, really super awesome community, and I wouldn't be able to do this if it wasn't for you guys, because it wouldn't be fun. So have a great afternoon and a great evening. Bye, guys.